taught you how to do this stuff?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Locally, my clients are physicians, nurses, single moms, couples, multiple generations of families, seniors on fixed incomes, disabled, veterans, residents of assisted living facilities, and teachers at the local elementary, middle, and high schools. Most are dealing with serious issues other than their smoking habit, further degrading their quality of life and their ability to quit smoking. From 18 to 96 years old with an average age of over 40, nearly all referrals by other successful clients. Most have smoked for decades, the result of the 93% failure rate that they've been stuck with. They don't believe you and don't trust you with damn good reason. You will never reach these people. They know you don't care and they despise you for it. I greet them in a t-shirt, this one with Kevin Crowley on it, and blue jeans, and a nicotine molecule tattooed on my forearm.
Well, hello, and welcome to Son of Liberty Radio. I see there are people in the chat room. Hello, folks. Mallory and Tom and Omicidal and Robin and Kevin is even in there. Mallory, the young, beautiful, and wonderful Mallory and David Lloyd. Hello, people. Go out and share forth the link if you would like, please. Kevin is in backstage. We have a guest backstage as well. We're gonna have some fun tonight. I hope you have your liquid and your vape and your drink, whether that be an adult beverage or iced tea. I'm a gentleman. I'm drinking Southern iced tea tonight, peach flavored. There might be something included in it. You never know. But I hope you had a great week. We have some stuff to talk about. It's going to be a fun one. So let me go ahead and get Kevin. Let me get Kevin in here. There's Kevin.
You know, did you see my to nap ratio?
Your what ratio? What?
My nap to nap and no nap to no nap ratio.
Well, I know that Skip. I think Skip is taking a nap right now. I saw.
No, I mean because if I like you or not, it's
well,
I like you.
I don't really care. You know,
we need more time. We don't know enough.
Lots of people.
What are you doing?
So, I same old. I worked with some patients today. I made some of them better. I made some of them hurt. I made some of them not hurt. Those things, you know.
Question your ability to.
No. I mean, it is sort of my job to make some of them hurt. And they do call me Torquemada from time to time, but it makes them better in the long run.
That's good.
Mallory, if anybody did ban, I don't know how to unban. I mean, I have to go to the back end. Once we bring our guest in, I will go into the studio and see if somebody banned them. But yes, please don't be banning people unless it's porn bot. The porn bot will show up. You can ban the porn bot. But if somebody says something you don't like, you know, it is a free country. Now, obviously, if it gets to be jerky, I will ban them. But don't be banning people. You can silence people. Don't be doing it as gags to each other, though, because that's just mean. But anyway, Kevin, I'm excited. We have a guest. We have a guest that we have shown some love in the past by reading articles that he has written. And he is excitedly one of us. We like people that are kind of like us, whether they are people that vape and like vaping for that, or people that that don't vape, but believe that we should be able to make those choices for ourselves. Now, luckily, our guest tonight is a really good writer, as well as somebody that vapes and likes us to be able to make choices for ourselves. Hello, troop. Yeah, let's welcome in the guest for tonight, Mr. Cameron English. Cameron
What's
writes.
going on?
Same old, Cam. We actually met Cameron about 5 minutes ago in the backstage area, so we're already best friends. But Cameron writes for the American Council on Science and Health, which is a website that most of you are quite familiar with because we've read articles and shared them on screen. But here it is. And they like to promote science and debunk junk. And they've been doing so since I was 6 years old, since 1978. So they're not a fly-by-night organization.
I was 11.
And Kevin, you know you were 35.
So I'm going to be flipping links in the YouTubes, for instance, their Twitter and Mr. English's bio, for instance. We'll do bio.
The website is easy though. It's ACSH.org.
Yep.
Action.org.
I'm not going to announce every one of them, but that's what I'm doing. You see them. There you go.
So Mallory
Welcome,
says
sir.
that she was just born. I don't know if that means that she was just born today or if she was just born in 1978.
Oh.
We don't pick on people here though.
No.
Never. So Cam, or Cameron, sorry.
Either one's fine.
Cool. Introduce yourself to the peoples.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me, and thank you for discussing my work and sharing it online. It makes a big difference, especially with the mainstream press being so gullible when it comes to vaping. So it helps get the word out. But in any case, my name's Cameron English. I'm the director of biosciences at ACSH, and we've been around, as you guys alluded to, since 1978, and we debunk junk science of all stripes. I do write a lot about vaping, and I'll talk in a second about why that became an issue for me, but we cover pesticide safety, genetic engineering, vaccines, chemicals, almost any topic related to public health and consumer health. We have something published on it. So if you have a question about science, you can go to our website, and that's usually a good place to start. But I got interested in vaping probably in 2010, 11, that time period, because I had started smoking because I was hanging out with people and drinking socially, and I just picked it up. I mean, that part of the story that you hear from the tobacco groups, I think there's some truth to that you can just pick it up casually. And I started smoking for, I don't know, 3-4 years, maybe. Nah, not that long, 2 years or so. And then I discovered vaping just really by accident. I had someone in my life who found it and started trying it. And I gradually, like a lot of people, I gradually switched, just stepping down from, a pack a day to half a pack. And then I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months is what it took. And then I've been vaping ever since. Camel Lights were my smoke. I haven't bought a pack of those in 10 years or so. But as I was going through this process, the media coverage started picking up. You started to see, some of these spurious claims about, flavored vapes are dangerous, or they attract kids, or this and that. So as I was going through this process, I was reading these stories and looking at it was a very small body of literature at the time, but I'm looking at the studies that are coming out, and I was just saying, well, these two things don't match. The evidence that's being gathered and what CNN and HuffPo and these kind of outlets are reporting, it doesn't match the evidence. So I started writing about it because my career in science journalism was just starting to take off then. So I really cut my teeth on this issue and several others, but I've just been covering it now for, I don't know, 10, 11 years. And you just learn, you see the same themes over and over. We'll get into some of them tonight, the claims that are made, the arguments that are made, and almost all of them are just totally fallacious. They're bogus. There's nothing to them. And there's very few people covering this. You know, there's a small lobby of organizations that are really pushing this, but outside of, you know, folks like you, no one's talking about it. No one in the science world, and so it's a good area for us to jump into and try to push back a little bit.
Sweet, very sweet.
No, I'm sorry. I was unblocking somebody that somebody had blocked. I see that Steven Sapir is hanging out in the Facebook chat room all by himself because everybody else is hanging out in the YouTube. But hello, my friend Steven. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Hey, Rob Roberts is there as well. So so you were writing about vaping after obviously you had discovered vaping, and you said something in there about gullible news outlets, and I hate to see I'm not nice. I don't actually believe that they're gullible. I believe that they're bought.
BOUGHT, right?
Yeah, I believe that they have been purchased. Now, over the last several weeks, we have highlighted certain strategies that some of these organizations do. And we talked about embedded advertisement or native advertisement, where we, an org like Truth, for example, will produce a video package, provided scripts for news anchors, for example, to ask questions, and the videoed responses by their talking heads. And I think we did one maybe 4 weeks ago where we found 16 local news channels had produced video segments on their news, on their nightly news, talking about Truth, for example. And I know for a fact, because I used to work in media, that they're paid. Now, legally, they're required to put somewhere on the Chiron or on the bottom third, paid, or on their website, if it is a hosted video, this is a paid advertisement or whatever. But we found about half of them are not doing that.
Yeah.
And
okay.
so we're finding some of them are doing what they're supposed to do by putting on the bottom of the screen, sponsored by Truth or whatever, but they get a check for about $10,000 every time they do one of these. And then the next week we found maybe eight news channels that had done it, and it dwindled down. And then a few weeks later, a whole new video package showed up. It showed up in like 20 different places again. And these are all paid for advertisements. They send them out, or they give them a hosted folder on the internet where they can download the video package. Once they broadcast it, they get a check in the mail.
It's like the reverse theory of that. It's a threat to our democracy from Sinclair. If you've seen that video where they just keep going further and further, it's backwards. Instead of that, we take a clip of you, we send it over to the news crew, and you're answering, yes, it's very, very dangerous. Oh, do you think it's going to get worse? Yes, we think it's going to get worse. It's all scripted. It's completely and bogus stuff.
I mean, the funny thing is like we actually showed 16 different video packages with different news hosts, the same two guests, the same exact scripted language. It's boom, boom, boom. The same background, and it was going on for like a week. I was like, these people haven't even changed their clothes in a week.
And people get away with it, and they believe it. That's okay. How does that happen?
I mean, when you have the money that they have. So this is not about winning the hearts and minds of us. Like, we're here. You're not gonna brainwash us. We're educated and informed. We obviously have done some research on this topic because somebody came up to us somewhere and said, you're going to get brain cancer if you keep vaping. So we've actually done the research. We understand this, but the problem is we will never win. We will never be victorious if it's only us that we're trying to talk to.
Mm.
So, getting you that is not a vaping only media site to produce, well researched and intelligent conversation about vaping to the general public, or at least to other people interested in debunking junk, is helpful. But the problem is the vast majority of people are not willing to do that research because this doesn't impact them.
Right.
They're not vaping. They don't know anybody that vapes. They don't care. And if they do, that's my friend Rob over there who vapes, but he's okay. He's gonna die, but he's okay. He's gonna get those brain worms.
Yep.
Yep.
The brain worms, the broken bones, the ED, the diabetes, all the stuff that vaping causes.
So Kevin, are you sharing the Victor share screen of us?
I oh, why not? I didn't know I was. Hold on.
You were I'm there we go. That's no. Okay. You were sharing the screen and it was just us. And I'm like, I just need to share us.
I was flipping.
Okay.
Just
So
because we have the Victor share screen. And speaking of lousy vaping studies, and I saw a tweet today on this with Inco of having to update this. A few of the things you covered, among us, ED, of course, and you explain it briefly, which I'm assuming is part of a different article. Stroke, wrong conclusion. I mean, the wording is beautiful. This is absolutely just stunning how well it put together with our Professor Puff and stuff and the Heart Association. Bone damage. I don't recall offhand, but okay. Mental health.
So remember last week we talked about GERD, and we talked about there was 2 studies that we talked about last week with 2 different health conditions that we discussed. I can't remember what the other one was.
We didn't do bones.
I don't believe we did bones. No,
I don't think bones are. I don't know if I may have. It's just so many. Smoking relapse myth, teen epidemic. Which I'm glad you did do that one. Secondhand vaping, and your conclusion. I'm not going to go through it all, but I did link it. This is a stunning example of something I would try to do, and I've tried to do and can't. I can't do it as eloquently as you have. So I appreciate this type of thing. I do read other things, which I've got other, but
you know how to read? You
Barely.
went to school in Ohio, or no?
Barely.
You're an asshole or masshole. Yeah. No, the one that came up this week. I bring this up because Richard Pruin from the UK is in the chat room. We do have an international chat room. We currently have Canadians, Americans. There was a Kiwi in the chat room earlier, an Aussie, and the rest of us are, plain old red, white, and blue Americans.
Colonists.
But the sad thing is I saw 2 troubling headlines this week from the UK.
Uh-oh.
One was that the American youth vaping epidemic is now in the UK. This whole time they've been able to say, hey, we've been promoting vaping for tobacco harm reduction and for smoking cessation for years here in the UK, and we don't have a youth vaping epidemic, but now they do,
just
apparently.
In case.
And then another guy, a scientist, said that people that vape with a lot of popcorn lung inducing diacetyl are going to die in 5 months. I saw that one.
The body counts go up.
100% true. 100% true, guys. Absolutely, yeah.
So all of you custard and buttery vapors, you're going to die.
It's so sad.
It's sad. But I did see a comment or a question from our very good friend Steven Sapir. He's a masshole too, by the way. Beantown Vapor. He says, "What will it take to win, guys?" Well, you know,
We don't know.
we've been talking about this for a while. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money, so that we can bribe politicians the same way they have. Because the only way to play the politics game in the United States is to bribe the fuck out of the crooked motherfuckers that are in all the state houses.
Who got the money? Who got the money?
You know, I was kind of hoping that Steve Forbes, you know, because we've engaged with Steve Forbes several times, and he seems to be an intelligent millionaire. He has made quite a few really nice videos about vaping and science and common sense. I sort of tried to I tried to motivate him to monetarily take up this fight, because obviously we have to have if we have a Bloomberg billionaire, we have to have another billionaire to counter the $700 million last year that Bloomberg spent in the world on tobacco harm reduction, or fighting tobacco harm reduction, I should say.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to winning, I'm not as cynical as you guys. At least I try not to be. I think in the long term, we'll be successful in pushing back against all the anti-vaping propaganda and all the campaigning, because we're right. And if you look at what the FDA says about vaping, if you look at what the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids says, Truth Initiative, everything they say is a lie. It's just demonstrably false. And you can only do that for so long before the sky doesn't fall down, right? Because teen vaping, as you guys well know, is declining. People are not getting sicker from switching to vaping. They're getting healthier. That, you know, and there's the clinical studies, there's the epidemiological studies, there's the testimonies. I think CASA has something like 14,000 testimonies of people on their website, and it's just one after the other. I was going to die, now I'm healthy. I was going to die, now I'm healthy. You know, so like you can only do that for so long before people go, oh, okay, there's no crisis. And there's parallels in other fields of science. So, you know, 30 years ago, you had activist groups like Greenpeace saying that GMOs were going to destroy the planet. They're going to give people cancer. Well, here we are now, all these years later, none of that's happened. And so all of the initial furor and all the controversy has declined significantly, because people eat genetically engineered crops every day and nothing happens. Right. And so I'm expecting that something similar will happen here. I can't say exactly when, but you can only lie to the public for so long before they just shrug their shoulders and they give up. And then the politicians stop caring because they don't get any more votes from flogging the issue.
Yeah. No, I'm quite confident that 20 years from now, they're gonna be like, yeah, we were wrong. But by that time, the only people that are, you know, and again, I'm not doing this to badmouth this company, but only things like this will be available, or you know, this, and the thousands and thousands of people that I've been doing this since 2010. I've been going to vape events. Well, I haven't been going in the last 2 years because there ain't none, but I've traveled the country and met a lot of these people in the small businesses, you know, friends like Steve, who's in the chat room, build their businesses from nothing just because they want to help people. You know, I opened the show tonight with Mark Sliss from Michigan, who was speaking at the what was that? That was the new nicotine. That wasn't new nicotine. That was e-cig summit in Washington D.C. this year, and like his whole mission is to save people from smoking, and they're gonna be gone because you know, every time we find a way. And I shouldn't use the word loophole, because this was not a loophole. It was a legal route that was opened to us when people went from traditional free-base nicotine to synthetic nicotine. People did that. It was a completely legal pathway. And then obviously we predicted it. We told you, I mean, we've been saying for, a year, once, companies did it. I mean, our very good friends at Five Ponds, they moved their entire line to synthetic nicotine because they said there's no effing way, and they're a fairly big company in vaping. They said there's no way that we can afford to apply and do all this stuff and know that we're going to be denied. So we're going to go on to synthetic nicotine because it's not covered. It's clearly not covered by the law. And here we come 2 years later, and we've got politicians. Oh, well, they found a loophole because FDA wasn't doing their job or whatever. And now they're trying to slam the shit out of that loophole, even though it's not really a loophole. It was a legal product that is no longer going to be legal.
Right.
But yeah, every time we get a little bit of sunlight, they slam the door on us.
Loophole sounds dirty though, Patrick.
But yeah, it does, because we're surreptitiously, like the Surgeon General. The Surgeon General uses words like surreptitious and clandestine when I suggested that. Oh, by the way, you could drug test these people that are, coming up with this lung problem. This would really help you, because we already know, because we covered it a month ago and predicted that this was going to happen, because the pot people knew all about it. They published stories about it. They said, be on the lookout for counterfeit products because they're using honeycut, which is, not good. Like, we knew all about it before the first case of it showed up in the United States. We knew about it, and we were like, dudes, y'all need to be careful.
How can consumers,
we're all about safe
like
supply,
How can consumers like us outsmart Jerry and the other goofballs, though? Right? That's impossible.
No, I mean, we clearly can outsmart them. I told him, like, he used to talk to me, and he won't talk to me anymore. He tweeted that we were being mean to him by pointing out that he was an idiot. We didn't call him an idiot.
Well, I might have. I don't know.
Because I am all for being polite on Twitter. I don't use bad language on Twitter. But I will show you that you're stupid by showing you the truth. Have you seen the movie You Don't Know Nicotine?
No.
You should watch that movie.
Okay.
A very good friend of ours made it. He's done 2 documentaries. He did one called A Billion Lives. He did one called You Don't Know Nicotine. And they interview a very intelligent man, Dr. Paul Newhouse from Duke University, who has been studying nicotine for about 5 decades. And there are pieces that he's quoted on the internet that you can read where somebody talks to him about the addictive quality of nicotine, the addictive nature of nicotine. And he says, look, I've been injecting nicotine directly into people for 30 years, and never once has a patient come to me and asked for more. He said, so if nicotine was addictive by itself, I think I would know about it. But in the interview in that film, he says, people come up to me and they argue with me and they fight. And he says, look, he got a blackboard behind him. He says, these are the facts right here. This is the truth. This is the science. It doesn't care about your feelings. Wonderful guy. Wonderful.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I don't want to say anything conclusive about that in terms of nicotine being addictive or not, but the specific claims that the anti-vaping people make are just ridiculous. And I think it sort of flows naturally from what they talk about, right? Because this vaping is obviously way less risky than combustible tobacco. There's just no denying that. And that's why, like with that master list you guys just had on the screen, that's why they have to go to these absurd claims, like bone damage. And even when they do the study, current vapors had lower risk of fractures than people who quit vaping. So even in the data that they're putting out, they can't even like cook it very well. Like they can't even put out a study that conclusively shows what they need it to show.
Right.
And
Well, I
that's
mean,
yeah.
even when they're talking about the National Youth Tobacco Survey,
Yeah.
they specifically never release the entire data set.
Mm,
They only give you the information that they want you to see.
yeah.
They refer to everything as percentiles.
Yeah.
So, they confuse people by saying something like 2% of all high school age kids vape, and 70% do so for
Yeah.
flavor.
Yeah.
So then they scare, they separate those two percentages so that people don't realize you're only talking about 70% of 2%.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't give you the numbers, because if they give you the numbers, then you realize that the problem isn't really a problem. Now, I want to stress, I have a young son, and Patrick, I think you have kids too, right? So like,
Not that I know of.
oh, okay.
My wife could be hiding them. The house is quite large.
Okay. In any case, I'm a parent myself. I don't want kids smoking. I don't want kids vaping. E-cigarettes, vapes, whatever you want to call them, they're useful as a quit smoking tool. That's what they're for, and they're for adults. But this idea that this is a youth epidemic, it's just not true. And what they do, because you look at the numbers are low, and even when you look at it, the way that they measure it, they say, "Have you vaped in the last month?" It's like, well, that's not helpful in any way, because if you ask a kid and they've taken one puff off a Juul or something, whatever, then
That's
then they
current
count.
use. That's current use.
Yeah.
That's current use.
Yeah.
If you did it once in the last 90 days, that's current use.
Yeah. So
You're
in other
addicted.
words, yeah. And if you look at any of the epidemiological, not any, most of the epi studies that are done, this is the exposure they use. They survey people, or they look at a data set that's already been collected, and a previous research team has asked, a group of ex-smokers or current smokers, do you vape once a month, once a day, every so often, every couple of weeks? And then they take this as a valid exposure, or they'll use like ever vape, which is preposterous. So if you were to ask somebody, have you ever eaten McDonald's French fries? You can't build a study based on that exposure, because it doesn't tell you anything about their diet. And yet in tobacco control, this is just accepted, like, oh yeah, yeah. So we surveyed 10,000 people and we asked them if they've ever vaped. Okay, that tells you nothing. You cannot even draw a valid association between vaping and whatever health risk you're concerned about, because you're not looking at actual exposure. And the reason is, if you were to do a real study that would give you useful information, it would take many years and it would cost a lot of money. So this is another thing. Maybe we can talk about this later. They talk about the long-term risks are unknown. The long-term risks are unknown. By the way, the long-term risks are unknown. And they say we need more studies and we need more data. But when they go out and do research, they just mine these existing epidemiological data sets, and they do these dumb short-term studies, or maybe they're cross-sectional studies. So they're showing you a snapshot in time. So you can't do anything. They do these studies because they know reporters who, whether they're bought or not, I can't say. What I would say is more likely is that many of them are ideological, in that they're inclined to accept a narrative that there is this corporate plot to hook kids on Puff Bar. Like everybody's in on this conspiracy and they're trying to hook the children. And I think reporters are inclined to believe that. And then they get a press release from a major university like UCSF. And they go, "Oh, that's a big school. I'm so impressed." And then they get a quote from whoever wrote the study, and the researcher says, "This is deeply concerning. We need more funding so we can do more research." And the cycle repeats itself for years at a time.
We actually have video from a hearing in California, probably about 9 years ago now. And Dr. Philip Gardner is a professor, does tobacco research in California. And he's talking to people after the hearing in the hallway in the courthouse. And he essentially says, I know what you're saying, but I work in a university and I do research, and the only way that I can keep my job is to come here and ask for a tax on vaping to pay for my job. I mean, that is not verbatim what he says, but that is the gist of what he's saying is I know that you're not, I know you're telling the truth, guys. I know it. And then there's also a video of Stan after that same hearing, basically saying the same thing. I know that vaping is safer than smoking. I don't think he knew that people were watching him. But you open vapor people need to separate yourself from big tobacco, because that's who we really want to fight. And I'm like, how could we possibly separate ourselves even more? I mean, if you look at, if you talk to any open vapor company at the time, and even now, they're like, fuck big tobacco, blah, 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 in as public a way as possible. But somehow every one of us, and I'm not in the business and neither is Kevin, every one of the people in the industry, or somehow every time they're showing a product on TV, it's one of their products, and they're talking, the voiceover work is always about big tobacco, and they're showing, ADV, or they're showing 5 Ponds, or they're showing, open vapor products while talking about Juul. Or while talking about big tobacco.
So that brings up two things that I think are worth focusing on. So the first, that clip of Philip Gardner, it's almost like, and he doesn't see how oblivious he is, and we'll get into that in a second, but it's almost like he's condescending to these small business owners. It's like, listen, guys, let me level with you. We'll tax you a little bit so I can fund my research, and then you guys can, you guys can go on and do your thing. And it's so preposterous, right? For you work at a public university, you exist on grants, and for you to talk to taxpayers, especially business owners that are trying to make a living and trying to help people quit smoking, you're going to approach them and say, listen, let me pat you on the head. You guys can do your thing. But really we're in charge. We set the rules. That seemed to be the subtext of what he was saying. And I think what that comes from, and maybe you're familiar with an economist named Thomas Sowell, but he has a book called, Intellectuals in Society. I was just looking at it on my shelf. So he says in this book that academics work with academics, they socialize with academics, and they all tend to have the same, typically center-left progressive view of the world. And so if one of them says something that's absurd or clearly doesn't match what's going on in the world, there's no check. Right? There's no check. There's no balance. So one of them says, like, what would be a good idea is if we were to tax vaping so we could continue our fight against big tobacco. And then the guy that's sitting next to him in the office goes, that is a good idea. Way to go, Steve. Good job on that. And then this becomes sort of the foundation for the campaigns that they do and for the research that they do. And all the while, the rest of us out here in the real world go, well, that's insane. There's no justification for that. And I alluded to this earlier, even when they do research that does not help their cause, it's almost like their brains are seared, like they're not capable of seeing the biases that are built into their conclusions, even when their data clearly contradicts what they're saying. I just as a matter of psychology, I find the whole thing fascinating.
No, the really funny one is the gateway one. Now, there was an article about 6 years ago, and I covered it on the podcast back then, and they were talking to somebody at CDC, and they were researching it, and they're like, well, we were looking at the gateway, we haven't found it yet, but we know it's there. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the gateway to smoking is our truth. Here's the other thing, since you brought that up, the long-term consequences thing drives me bananas, because, and if you can see this, if you go to the American Cancer Society's website, they have their page on vaping, and they complain about the youth epidemic, and they complain and they say, we don't know the long-term consequences of vaping yet. However, evidence is accumulating, which it's not, and we can talk about that too,
evidence is accumulating that vaping carries serious health consequences. And I've seen all sorts of people in tobacco control repeat this line ad nauseum, and they just cite each other, right? So no one's actually building evidence that this is the case, but they just cite each other over and over and over. And so eventually you get a big body of literature filled with no evidence, but they just quote each other. And what's fascinating is, get rid of vaping for a second. Let's just put that aside. Imagine a major medical institution talking about the COVID vaccines that way, or talking about another pharmaceutical drug that way. Could you imagine the American Cancer Society or the American Medical Association saying, the long-term risks of COVID-19 vaccines are unknown. However, there is evidence of serious adverse side effects in rare cases. And so we know that over time, we're going to gather more evidence of that sort, right? They'd be laughed out of the medical community or the science community. So they know that this is sloppy reasoning, but it's allowed here because tobacco is allowed to be demonized. And I'll stop. I'm ranting. Sorry.
Just so that the YouTube bot doesn't. We're not saying bad things about the COVID-19 vaccine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm totally pro-vaccine. I just want to say, for the fact checkers out there, just want to say I'm absolutely pro-vaccine. My kid has all the shots. I love science. I don't like infectious disease. Hold two thoughts in your head at the same time. I'm just making
just so that we don't get algoed. I'm just saying.
Yes, my apologies.
So critical thinking is a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bots are not allowed to critically think. They just wait for a certain word to show up, and then the next thing you know, your channel is banned.
Embrace the cognitive dissonance. It's good for you. Good for you. Think. So, in other words, I won't use the V word. Think about any mainstream outlet or medical institution. They would never talk that way about a widely used pharmaceutical product.
No.
Because they would be laughed out of polite society. And the only reason it's allowed with tobacco is because we've all been conditioned over the last 30, 40 years that smoking's the worst possible thing you can do. And what about the children? And so people know better, but they turn their critical thinking off.
Yes.
Because they want to be invited to the cocktail party, or they want their research to be funded. And so they say what they're supposed to say. And, it's unfortunate, but that happens.
So the next intro that I'm gonna put together is going to be comments from tobacco control people saying, we don't know about long-term health effects, interspersed with the rapid speech at the end of a pharmaceutical commercial from all the different pharmacies talking about all the possible side effects of taking X, Y, and Z drug, because there's hundreds of those commercials. I can just take those little splurges at the end from.
That's a beautiful idea.
I know. Every once in a while, I have a brain cell left.
Are you segmenting, or are we going to go straight to? I saw. I think Mallory said low nicotine cigarettes.
Oh, VLNCs. We could talk about that real quick. I mean, I don't know what Cameron's opinion is, but I mean, everybody on the show already knows my opinion on the matter.
Yeah, I can't actually wait to hear his. That's all.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. Let me just say, like ACSH is a science organization. Our primary concern is data driven, discussions and analysis of these issues. But as a private citizen, as a consumer of news, as someone who vapes every day, I'm of the opinion that if you're a grown adult, if you can drive yourself to work, if you can put on your clothes, you can pay taxes, then you get to do basically whatever you want, right? Within the bounds of the law. If you're not causing harm to other people, that's my starting point. So when it comes to smoking, if people want to smoke, obviously that's not good for their health. I think everybody knows that because we're all told that over and over again. But that's okay, So like, instead of screwing around with very low nicotine cigarettes or trying to manipulate people into not buying them, put that effort into encouraging people to vape and this is something that's going on in England to a certain extent.
But no, they have a youth epidemic now.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, okay. In any case, the research. I'll make a scientific comment. So, when you look at the research on very low nicotine cigarettes, it's mixed. There are quite a few studies, even studies paid for and conducted by federal researchers. What they show is that when you cut the nicotine, people smoke more cigarettes. And even the studies that are cited in support of cutting the nicotine level in cigarettes, people don't smoke fewer, right? So if anything, they just keep smoking the same number of cigarettes. So maybe some people don't compensate, but they're not reducing their cigarette intake from what it was.
And
so, go ahead.
We have a comment from 22nd Century admitting that all of the other stuff that they have, they didn't remove any of the other stuff. Essentially, the only thing that they changed is that the nicotine is reduced, but the same amount of tars, all the total aerosols are still there. All the bad stuff is still there. All the carcinogens are still there. So yeah, but how is that harm reduction?
It's not.
So first.
Sorry, go ahead.
I thought, well, it's a great idea in theory. That goes to what you said earlier. One guy said, "Hey, I got an idea," and then another guy said, "Well, that's a great idea."
Yeah, right.
Because tell a friend.
They treat the public. Not everybody. There's a lot. Don't get me wrong. I want to be clear. There are a lot of good academics doing good work that make the world a better place because they're developing innovations that help people. That said, the stuff with very low nicotine is just ridiculous. There's just no justification for it. But I guess the point I was making is like they treat us like chessboard pieces. Like we're going to move people around, we're going to run our models, and we're going to tell them how to live their lives. Yeah. And if it fails, well, it's because you didn't do it right. We just need more of this policy that I said we needed in the first place, right? The idea that they're doing it wrong, that there's some flawed assumption built into their approach to an issue, it never occurs to them. They just, like I was saying earlier, they're not capable of processing the idea that you can leave people alone and they'll make better decisions for themselves.
Yeah, we did a show a while back on confirmation bias. And, Kevin uses words like confirmation bias in his tweets all the time. Cognitive dissonance.
Oh, stop it.
He likes that. He likes those fancy words.
Yeah, it's a sexy word. I get it. Yeah.
You're making me all giddy.
As long as you're not getting, tumescent or anything like that, then we're okay.
It's okay. I'll live.
Oh. That's very good. Impressive vocabulary, the both of you.
At 12 years of college, that's catching up on me now.
Me hanging out with people with 12 years of college is, catching up.
Well, Kevin writes a very good blog, and he has a thesaurus beside him all the time. So
yeah,
that helps. That helps him.
And I try to steal phrases from you. I plagiarize when necessary.
So that's my take on the very low nicotine thing. It's just meddling. It's not going to do what it's supposed to do. So they should just.
And I remember now. It was brain fire or
brain fire.
Yeah, last week it was that vaping caused brain. I'm trying to find it.
Brain
vape
fire.
Detectors. There was
what's brain fire?
I'm probably.
It's like the worm has a match when it goes to your brain.
They combust, man. They combust in your brain.
Yeah, I must have a lot of brain fire then, because I've been at this for over a decade now.
I mean, I've been vaping since 2010.
Yeah.
So, if my brain was gonna, explode, it would have already happened. Inflame the brain. Does vaping inflame the brain?
Yeah.
That was done by a podcast called The Naked Scientist.
Yeah, whatever. That's all I got.
Do you-
Whatever.
do you get a lot of backlash on, I imagine you do, on the other things that you've written, but on vaping in particular? Is it higher? Is it the same? Is it lower? It doesn't matter.
It depends. It depends.
Okay.
The critics that we have, they tend to coalesce around a whole host of issues. So if somebody doesn't like what we say or what I say about BPA, for example, they also tend to be skeptical of vaping. And so they will look at all of these and they'll say, well, you're just a corporate front group. You're a shill. You're doing it for the money.
Big tobacco.
And yeah.
Welcome to the club.
There's two things I want to say. I revel in being called a shill. It's like a cold drink on a hot summer day. I don't care. You can tell me that I'm a shill or that I'm bought off by big tobacco. I'm going to keep doing what I do because I love it and because I'm right. However, we don't take money from the tobacco industry. I don't have any financial relationship with the vaping industry. But even if I did, even if I was created in Juul's laboratories, it wouldn't change.
They have nice labs.
I wouldn't know. But in any case, the point I'm making is like, you can call me corrupt, whatever name you want to call me. It's not going to change what the science says. So go show up in the comments, call me a shill. That's fine. I have a page on SourceWatch, by the way, which is run by the Center for Media and Democracy. So they call me a corporate shill because of what I say about pesticides and biotechnology. So this is a thing, right? I have a bit of a reputation with these people, but it just doesn't matter. Like the facts are the facts. 2 + 2 is still 4. If
the
if
facts
Juul
don't care about your feelings. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not particularly fond of that phrase or who says it, but nonetheless,
Right.
nonetheless, it's true. It's true, And I'm not sure why people glommed onto that slur that you're a shill or whatever. I think it might be the influence of postmodernism. People think if they can tag you to some powerful force that they perceive as bad, then they can dismiss you. But that's preposterous. I don't know what else to say. So yeah, whatever.
Well, the World Health Organization and the FCTC, they have in their law, if you you have to disclose your funding if it comes from a tobacco source. A lot of times in their hearings or in their conferences, that's the first question when they're talking to a pro vaping or a tobacco harm reductionist. Well, where does your money come from? And that's that a part of that comes from there, I'm sure. Now you said that you are a father, right?
I am.
And
Yep.
how old is your son?
He'll be a year old next week.
So I have been keeping a running timeline of human rights abuses to young people.
Okay.
There's a new one I'm adding tonight that we found, but I want to show you this Twitter thread, and this starts in 2019. So we got a running here. This is a list of news articles about abusing children because of vaping. So this kid he got in trouble for vaping, and kids don't know what to do, whatever. So there's one. I think he got expelled. Oh no. Yeah, he told me to take my pants down, and he put his fingers in my underwear. This is strip searching a kid in 2019. That's vaping. So that's one. So then we go down. Number 2, they're removing the doors to bathrooms in the stalls so that teachers can walk in and see if you're vaping in the bathroom. This one here is from 20. Yeah, another kid was strip search. This is from 2019 as well. as a parent, and I'm not going to run through here, but there's a couple where, obviously there was a kid tased on the boardwalk for vaping twice. There were two different ones. There was an incident in the boardwalk in Maryland and in a skate park in Atlanta. In New Zealand, a principal was caught snapping photos under the stall doors in the bathroom of the girls' bathroom to see if they were vaping in there. Obviously, this kid here was taken. He's a special needs kid. They suspected of vaping. They beat the living tar out of him because he, panicked or ran away or whatever, because they, autistic kid approached by a bunch of people shouting questions at him, probably is not going to respond the way that you think. This is a running, this is 4 tweets with something like 20 incidents of kids being victimized by the people that are supposed to be protecting them. There's a new one today of teachers in New Zealand. I think it's New Zealand, doing, going into the bathrooms to peek over the stalls or whatever to see what kids are doing in the bathroom. If I was a kid, when I was in high school, if somebody had peeked over the stall door while I was trying to drop a deuce, somebody would be picking up their teeth.
I'm sorry. It's quite a visual.
I don't think anybody wants to visualize that, but I'm just saying.
But yeah. Okay. Well, I haven't read any of these stories, so I'm not going to comment.
I'm going to tag you in the Twitter. I should
okay.
tag, so you can read. There's like 20 articles here since 2020 or
I'll read them. Just in a general sense, as a father, though, if any of this stuff happened to my son, there's going to be issues. Let's just put it this way, because
that's fair enough.
Yeah, not that any of this is ever acceptable, but what is it that you're trying to prevent? You're trying to prevent teenagers from experimenting with a product that they probably shouldn't be using. But by what means are you doing that? You're strip searching them. You're taking the stalls off bathroom doors. So again, assuming these reports are true, I don't have a reason to doubt them, but I just don't want to comment on the specifics.
No, but
at some point you need to do a risk benefit analysis and say, we're trying to stop them from doing this one thing. We're going to strip search them in order to prevent. Right. Like at some point, if you have a functioning brain, that should set off alarm bells. The cognitive dissonance again should say, maybe we're doing this wrong. Anyways.
So here, I'll show you. This is one from the Green Bay Gazette. This is the most headline catching one in the United States. 6 female students were approached at school by the principal, and the principal said, "I saw you vaping," and the girl produced the e-cig, handed it to her, and she said, "Would you have any more?" And the girl said, "No, that's it." So she says, "I don't believe you," and then took the 6 girls to the nurse's office or to her office and called the school nurse, and then strip searched 6 girls in the office or whatever, told them that they couldn't leave until they dropped their pants and stuff. So one of the girls claimed that the principal required her to pull her brassiere away from herself because she might have been hiding it in her bra. This happened. So the county prosecutor said, well, that doesn't meet the definition of a strip search because they were allowed to keep their underwear on. So they weren't going to press charges. So then there was such a public outcry that they did press charges, but it was unlawful imprisonment because they wouldn't let the girls leave until they did the thing. And then a few months later, this started in February. A few months later, they announced that they weren't going to be bringing charges against the principal after all, and they dropped the charges.
And she resigned.
So she did resign, but when they said to the parents, who were rightly so extremely angry, that they legally had the right to tell their students, their children, to take their clothes off while they're all in the same room, let alone one by one. But how damaging and traumatizing would this be to a teenage girl to be taken into a room with other teenage girls, let alone with two adult women, and forced to remove your clothes before you could leave? That you were not I mean, this is supposed to be the new cool thing is to be like friends with young people. If you're an adult, you don't want to parent them anymore. You want to, emotionally sympathize with them. Back in my day, that they'd have just beat our asses. I mean, I grew up in the corporal punishment generation. They would have made us turn our pockets out, but they would have never asked us to drop our pants, and they would have just beat up. But I was also in the school in the generation that we had a dedicated smoking area for students.
The paddle would have broken my vape.
But yes, this is supposed to. We're in a touchy-feely and not in an inappropriate way, a touchy-feely society now, where we have to talk about our feelings, and they're dragging these kids in and mentally and emotionally traumatizing them. I just don't get it. How the cognitive dissonance in this is rampant for me.
Hey, Bob, I got
to get that in the title of the episode somehow.
Hey,
we already have a show called Cognitive Dissonance, so I can't have two shows.
Well. In any case,
same thing.
As a parent, all I can say is that homeschooling's looking better and better every day. I guess I don't know. Unless you want them, taught things that you don't think they should be taught. You don't want them groomed. You may have to keep your kids at home. I mean, this is. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to comment on the specifics, but if I was in this situation and I had confirmed that this happened,
But yes, they had the city attorney. They had like a legal eagle on the local news that night. And he's like, oh, well, this doesn't meet the statutory definition of a strip search in Minnesota. So, they're within their rights to do this. And also, as a parent, you don't have the right to know before they do it. Like, they don't have to call you and get permission.
Isn't that called a loophole?
And I'm like,
that's crazy, man. Okay, so when I was in elementary school, way back whenever it was, I went to one school where they were allowed to spank you. But before they did that, they had to call your parents and say, here's what happened. Here's why we want to do this. And then they could go if your parents gave them permission and if they had previously signed a form for this to happen. But that was it. And even at the time, a lot of parents said, no, you're not going to spank my kid. What is this? What is this? The Soviet Union? No.
Actually, in the 70s, every parent in the neighborhood had permission to spank us if we if we acted up at their house.
Okay.
And
the difference is, though, it's like if there's a sense of community between neighbors, maybe that's different. Maybe I don't know. I'm new to the parenting thing, so I'm a little skeptical.
Well, you're
of this
younger
kind of
than Kevin and I, so
Yeah. In any case, though, the fact that if this is going on in schools, over the line, just no question, this is not in any way appropriate.
But again, what you said earlier is one guy said, you know what I think we should do? We should strip search them. And then somebody else went, that's a great idea.
And then the next guy said, hey, y'all watch this. And We're going to
Out
take
of
pictures
control.
of them while they're pooping or whatever, you know.
Out of control.
Now they're
And
installed. I mean, I don't care about the, you know, Kevin keeps sending me articles about vape detectors. I don't care.
No.
That's not nearly as bad as walking in and taking a picture under the toilet door or removing the toilet door. Or in one of the articles, they removed the exterior door to the bathroom so that anybody walking by could peek in and see what the hell's going on. In the article, there was an actual shot of somebody standing at a urinal peeing. Well, they weren't peeing, but they were standing at the urinal like they were going to pee. And somebody was in the hallway and took a picture, and you could see the straight way all the way into the urinal from the hallway because there was no door anymore.
so,
Wow.
so, Cameron, can you name any other substance?
You didn't call him
Where-
Karen, did you?
Cameron, I read it. Can you name any other substance that you've studied, written about, know about over the course of your time here on Earth with us that would stigmatize a child this badly in these brief instances that you're just now aware of? How does that happen? How does it go from it's an illegal product that they aren't allowed to purchase, which is a lot of them, to we're taking off bathroom stalls and we're strip searching children for it? We didn't get that when we were smoking.
Yeah.
Ever. Never.
I don't know, dude. I don't even know what to say about this issue. It's just like
You didn't expect this, did you?
no, and I mean not that I'm trying to avoid it. It's a new
No.
subject. I will look into it now that we've talked about it. But the only thing, nothing comes close because there has been talk in the past about, you know, we're gonna monitor what kids eat better, or we're gonna take candy and soda out of schools and
Okay.
like this kind of stuff. But it was never anything like this. I
actually saw a school board somewhere in the United States were issuing warning letters to parents for the kids that were bringing lunch with them if the lunch that was provided by the parents didn't meet the school's definition of a nutritional meal.
What?
Okay.
Now, we've talked about being poor white trash. I'm very cognizant of food insecurity and not having the most money when I was a kid, and we brought peanut butter sandwiches to school because that's all we could afford. You're talking about shaming people now for not having enough money, because we know the healthiest foods that you can buy are the most expensive ones. At least here. I mean, if you want to buy over processed stuff, that's cheap. You can buy canned food, that's cheap. That's full of sodium. It's not the greatest for you compared to fresh vegetables. But a lot of people can't afford anything better than what they're sending. I mean, I know parents will cut their own allowance for meals to provide for their kids. Most parents are going to do that.
I did.
I mean, I'm sure Cameron, if you were on a fixed income and you needed to send your kid to school with food, you're going to skip lunch to buy them better food for them. I mean,
of course.
Every person in the chat room here that's a parent is going to make that sacrifice. So when you have, like, I don't want to use the word social justice warriors, but when you have those people that feel like it's their place to tell you how to do your job as a parent.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the key problem. And
make decisions for you.
Right. We don't need to get into the obesity thing and all. That's a whole nother rabbit trail. All I'll say is they don't know how to make people. No, you're handsome as ever. They don't know how to make people lose weight at the population level. They've tried everything. They've tried we're going to tax soda here, and when you do that, people go over to the next county and they buy their soda we're going to ban certain advertisements. We're going to take this out of the schools. I heard Robert Lustig, who's also at UCSF. He's an obesity guy. He proposed at one point carding people when they buy candy at the grocery store. And if you're under 18, then you can't, that never became a law as far as I know, but this is the mindset of these people who we're talking about. So all of it, just that's the problem, is the idea that parents are not capable of raising their children. And in some instances there is abuse and there is neglect. Don't get me wrong. And, there should be interventions in that case. But as a general rule that we're going to have these academicians who are all wise and they're going to sit up here in the ivory tower and they're going to explain how we're all going to live our lives, it's preposterous. And it doesn't work, even on their own standards.
On that topic, I actually saw a recent study where they're talking about it's a food supply issue. The obesity problem is a food supply issue because they brought Europeans over to America who didn't change their diet, but they bought their stuff locally. They didn't change their portion size. They didn't change anything, and they got fat.
I'd have to look at it. I don't know. I'm inclined to be skeptical, just because I've seen a lot of papers in nutritional epidemiology and like this public health stuff, and it's just like it's bad in the tobacco control world. It's bad in nutrition as well. Like
now, speaking of water is wet, this is a new one. Flavors remain a major driver of youth e-cigarette use.
Let's do it. This is let's do it, man.
This is from the American Public Health Association, from their journal.
Yeah, this is one of the journals that banned research from scientists if they're affiliated with the vaping industry, I believe.
Yes. So this was accepted on the day before my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Well, it was in April. My birthday is the day before tax day, which is also.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This was just published on June 21st of 2022.
Okay. Yeah,
right,
let's live stream debunk this thing. Let's do it.
Yeah, this is what we do. We'll see if we get the full text here. Oh, you mother truckers! It's paywalled. You bastards!
Oh. Let me hold on. It might take me a minute. Let me see. Can you put the DOI or the link in the chat so I can?
Yeah. Let me. Bam.
And then if you can debunk them with them, that would be even better.
This is. I'll just give you the link because I can't see the DOI.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in. If you look along the right hand side of the thing, there's a private chat right there. Because.
Okay, I'm looking at. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. Do you have music while I do this?
Actually. Here, let's do this one here.
Okay. Oh yeah. Hey, by the way, that beat you had at the intro, man, that was tight, bro. I was digging that.
Let's see.
Okay.
This is a new feature of the StreamYard is you can and they actually have one where you can upload your own music, but the problem is you'll get a copyright strike if it's copyrighted music. So.
Yeah. This is
I don't know if
debunking music.
Is that yeah, it sounds like one of those like How It's Made from the History Channel or something.
Hey, I love that show.
Garbage tobacco control research begins at UCSF.
Well, there you go. That's my cognitive bias.
And obviously, sexual harassment and academic fraud, that also comes from there too.
Okay.
There's a list.
This could be bad 70s porn music as well.
Okay, I can't access that paper. Well, let me try one other thing. Maybe you can find another one because this would be fun to do.
Yeah, we can. Let's see if
or maybe you could find like an editorial or opinion piece that's based on that article if you want.
Let's see. There's the NCBI. Let's see. Aha. Aha.
He said, aha.
Aha. See, now NCBI has the same piece.
Okay, they might have the full text if it's indexed there. I could be wrong. I'm not
It
sure
is.
though.
Let's see.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get the full PDF.
Oh, good.
Aha! I got the full PDF.
Okay. Do it, man. Bring it up. Let's try and run through it.
All right, it's
I'm
only
gonna
it's not even very long. It's 2 pages.
Yeah.
So let's add
Peer
this
review for.
I'm gonna rub it. Let's rub it and make it bigger.
Bigger. There you go.
So I do love the way this page is laid out, so that the conflicts of interest, and this is, as you can see, it is also authored by our friend Bitch Zeller.
Oh, see, look at that natural reaction.
I see what you did there.
Do you see what I did? I waited for him to take a drag and then said Bitch Zeller. So the sad fact of the matter is this is an op-ed. This is not a scientific. This is an op. This is an opinion piece written by Mitt Zeller. This is sort of, I think, his parting shot after leaving.
See the first
FDA.
sentence, Patrick. The first sentence.
For example, the FDA is addressing the youth e-cigarette epidemic with comprehensive compliance and enforcement measures.
Bullshit. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since
What they
20
mean is, the tobacco industry wrote a piece of legislation, and now we use that to beat up on its competition.
Are you talking about the Protecting Philip Morris Act, the Tobacco Control Act? Yeah. So I mean, for most of us, we already know that that piece of legislation was indeed authored by Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, Truth, or the org that Truth was before it was Truth, the Legacy Foundation, as well as Philip Morris and the tobacco lobbyists. Like, I mean, there's no, it's a negotiation. It's like the master settlement agreement was 46 attorney generals trying to figure out a way to make $1 and make money for themselves, because there is a portion of the MSA money that went to the National Association of Attorney Generals. That seems funny to me that elected officials or attorney generals, whether they're elected or appointed, they have to have a national organization for them. And they did negotiate themselves legal fees. 46 guys got a cut. So, yeah.
Do you guys, just as a side, do you ever talk about public choice theory on this show?
I've never heard of it.
Okay.
Referred to as that. So
just look it up. The basic idea, though, is that people that work in the public sector respond to the same incentives that everyone else does. So when it comes to federal bureaucracies, when you look at the research in this field, what it finds is they do what Congress wants them to do, because Congress funds the agencies. And you've seen this too. They respond to pressure. So you've got like people like Dick Durbin. The FDA responds to what he says because he can influence their funding. And anyways, we can get into that later. I was just pointing out that there are financial stakes that are clearly documented in all of these vaping and these other issues. Anyways, back to this article.
So anyway, it says, since 2016, the FDA has conducted more than 2,000 vape shop inspections, has issued more than 11,000 warning letters, and has filed more than 1,900 civil money penalties to retailers, both online and in brick and mortar retail stores, for selling ends and their components to minors. The agency is also enforcing the increased minimum age at which a young person can legally be sold tobacco products. I call bullshit on that. I've literally seen no FDA enforcement on that. I see a lot of local LEOs, local people handling that, but I haven't seen FDA do a damn thing about that. In December of 2019, the U.S. president, and shouldn't president always be capitalized when referring to the president of a company or country?
Only if you use his name.
Really? I thought it
Yeah.
should always be. Okay. U.S. president signed legislation raising the federal minimum age. I was going to say minimum wage, but that's never going to happen. Minimum age for sale of tobacco products to 21 years. Tobacco 21 is in effect now. Research shows that the younger people are when they start to use tobacco products, the more likely they are to become addicted to nicotine. By enforcing the new federal minimum age of sale of tobacco products, the FDA can help prevent youth and young adults from accessing tobacco products and a lifetime of nicotine addiction.
Hey, am I echoing?
No.
I'm here. People in the chat are saying that I'm echoing. I don't know
I'm not. I don't hear it. Kevin, are you hearing it?
A little.
Okay.
I do a little.
You don't
I
have
wasn't
any
sure if it was
speakers on,
me.
do you?
I don't think so. I have my mic and my headphones in.
Yeah. The only way you could be echoing is if it was going through a speaker and back into a mic, and all of us are wearing headphones.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can I jump out and jump back in? Is that an option?
Try it. Try that.
Okay.
I thought it was me.
No, I'm wearing headphones and the speakers are off. So, I can't figure out why there would be an echo.
My phones are off momentarily because they kept screwing up.
Yeah. Now if you were unmuted and one of us was speaking, it was coming through your speakers, then it would echo, Kevin.
Okay. Echo still or no?
Nope.
Okay. I don't hear an echo. I guess people will let us know in the comments if it's echoing.
Yeah, Kevin took his headphones off, and if he's unmuted and it's going through his speakers, then there could be an echo. But
okay.
But he's supposed to turn his damn headphones on or get some ones with wires.
Lock it up, Kevin. What's up, bro?
You're boomering the hell out of our show, Kevin.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, all right. So where were we with this? So
they're talking about tobacco 21 and how it's going to be the miracle that prevents kids from smoking. But we all know that the vast majority of kids don't buy cigarettes or vaping products at the counter. Somebody else that is legal buys it for them, or they buy it from somebody at school who got it from somebody who was legally able to get it. So, tobacco 21 is, FDA they had a person at e-cig Summit, and she said all of their messaging, everything that they're doing is prevention based. So all of their messaging is specifically about abstinence.
Yeah.
And it's not working. And she said, we're fully aware that kids experiment and that they're going to do things that you tell them not to do.
Yeah. One thing,
but we've focused all on that.
Yeah. Here's why this is strange, is because going back to the early 90s, they have research on smoking prevention campaigns for high school students. And what this research shows, and you guys probably know this already, you run these, the ad council, you run all this stuff, this is your brain on tobacco or whatever, if you smoke, you look like a fish or what, like all of these stupid ads. When you show this to teenagers, they go, well, this must be awesome because the FDA doesn't want me to do it. My teachers don't want me to do it. So
let's rebel.
Yeah, right. It just incentivizes them to experiment. And they must be aware of this because, this is research funded by the NIH. It's put out by the same universities that are doing the anti-vaping stuff now. So, I mean, let's just raise the age to 57. You can't buy any tobacco products if you're under 57. That'll fix it.
Well, Hawaii tried to pass a law that every year raised the minimum age to purchase tobacco products by 1 year until their goal was to get the T100. that they were going to get it to the point where you had to be 100 years of age before you could purchase tobacco products. Now, the reason I unshared the screen, because I wanted to show, while we're talking about this specific thing, there was an article written for a local paper in this is written by a young lady named Lilac Molosky.
Oh yeah, I saw this, I think. Yeah.
And okay, this is a high school age girl. And we're just going to do this real quick because this is about what we're talking about. This is about T21 and messaging to kids.
Okay.
This past school year, I took a course in my high school where I was required to write a research paper on a topic I found to be interesting, current, and relevant to the community. With this in mind, I decided to research what scientists, congressional members, and parents have been debating for the last decade: vaping. My research investigated whether viewing electronic cigarette promotions on Instagram made kids create a more positive perception of vaping. I created an online survey asking 142 students from a high school in South Florida about their opinion of e-cigarettes. Now, she had a bigger test pool than some of the studies that I've seen published by peer-reviewed pieces. Anyway, half the students viewed e-cigarette promotions found on Instagram before answering the survey, while the other half didn't. If my hypothesis held, the group that viewed the e-cigarette promotions before answering the questions should have a more positive perception of vaping than the group that did not or had not viewed the promotions. However, after performing a statistical test, the results did not show this. Both groups responded almost exactly the same to questions measuring their perceptions of vaping. Thus, my hypothesis was rejected. Viewing e-cigarette promotions on Instagram does not influence the way teens at that Florida high school think about vaping. However, my study did reveal a finding that may have saved it from being a complete flop. Towards the end of the survey, I tacked on a question that wasn't entirely related to my research question, but would help answer something I was genuinely curious about. Are the anti-e-cigarette campaigns that aim to discourage kids or teens from using vaping products actually effective? And, obviously they have to show this picture over here. Scroll down. An overwhelming majority of the students claimed anti-e-cigarette campaigns like the US FDA, the real cost, were not at all effective at preventing teens from vaping. In fact, only 20% of the teens said that they had ever viewed anti-e-cigarette information on social media. The other 80 claimed that they had only seen promotions or posts from their friends using e-cigarettes. This brought to light several questions, namely, whether the methods currently being used to prevent teen nicotine addiction are reaching the audience they're intended. Should organizations like FDA quit showing videos of possessed demons and Wolverine-like monsters to try to get teens to stop vaping? Are the 30-second commercials being aired on children's television programs really that compelling to social media crazed teens? So, obviously, this is from a high school age girl. This is their target audience, and she's basically saying the stuff that you're doing is not really working.
Yeah, she makes more sense than the whole of tobacco control. I think, just as a general rule, what would be more effective is if they would let vaping companies market their products as smoking cessation tools and try to give it sort of like a medical spin and stop demonizing it. It's probably once a month, maybe I drive down the road here in California and I see a bus bench ad, or I see the ad on the freeway, and it's always the Truth Initiative, or it's one of these groups, right? And it's, like the most recent thing was, I'm here to sell depression, or I still see those ads on TV from the Truth Initiative, right? We're going to sell some depression, that kind of thing.
Oh, the depression stick. Oh, don't even get us started on that, because that is a topic that we are quite well versed in.
Yeah, I wrote about it. We can talk about it. It's
we had done no. Well, I mean, Richard in the chat room. He's one of the people that host the Nicotine Wiki. He's in the UK. We did a great show during the COP9. We did all the international, not all the, but a large portion of the international vaping advocates. We streamed for an entire week, 24 hours a day during COP, and we followed the time zones, so we did a 2 hour. We did 5. Kevin and I did several hours, 5 nights a week for that event, and we did a 2 hour show on nicotine and neurodiversity. We had several people on the show that are diagnosed with issues, and empirically, we have the data. We had neuroscientists on the show talking about nicotine, so we understand the science of nicotine in the human brain better than apparently these people do.
Yeah.
And Dr. Charles Gardner was on the show a couple weeks prior to that, and he actually predicted the depression stick advertisement campaign a full 6 months before they went live with it, talking about how they're going to put the cart in front of the horse and blame nicotine for the depression, instead of, people that are depressed seek out nicotine as a stimulant to help them.
Yeah.
But it is something that we're quite well versed in, being that I'm a therapist. I'm I'm smarter than I look.
12 years of school.
Smarter than I look. We had, Richard put it out in the world, the massive, he has serious issues. Kevin's son is schizoaffective. I'm bipolar myself.
Okay.
I'm never depressed though. I'm always on the upper end, so that's always helpful to me.
Good.
I do have OCD and obsessive compulsive disorder, or an ADHD as well, but I don't take any meds because I'm a nicotine user, and I drink a lot of coffee too, but the nicotine keeps me off of the meds. And if you looked at the meds that they give you, some of them, are essentially crystal meth. Some of them are methamphetamine. They're, a lot of those drugs that they're putting these kids on today are stuff that if they bought the same product processed in a different form, they would arrest them. It's crazy. But anyway,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I diverted from the Mitzeller piece just to read that, because it's on topic. Because the next paragraph of this piece is, we also know from past successes with the FDA's award-winning The Real Cost Smoking Prevention Campaign that effective public education campaigns can produce incredible results in terms of knowledge, attitude, and behavior change. Using this success, now behavior change is the same thing as social engineering, by the way. I just want you guys to know that. Using the success in reducing youth e-cigarette use, and in the response to the growing rates of adolescent e-cigarette use, the FDA launched its newest full-scale effort in 2018, the Real Cost Youth E-Cigarette Prevention Campaign. The campaign's messages are delivered through a variety of channels, including television, online, video ads, banner ads, and interactive The Real Cost website and social media. And they did comic books, and they did commercials, and a video game where you could go onto their website and walk through and try to, I think there was hidden e-cigarettes that you had to find or whatever to get prizes or something. It was ridiculous. Don't get me. Since its launch, the real cost e-cigarette prevention campaign hit. So this is really not anything that we can debunk, though.
No, this is just him celebrating how awesome FDA is for spending our
This is
money.
like a high school term paper. You know,
is there stuff about flavor later on? Because I would love to look at that. If there's...
Let's see, because it's all right. So this next part is Brian King.
Okay.
So that's what it is. Is half of the paper, half of this was Mitch Zeller, and half of this. So anyway, this is the flavors are a major driver of youth e-cigarettes.
Is there actual data here instead of just
well, I see again. I see percentage. There's footnotes, and let's see. Considerable declines in cigarette smoke have occurred among U.S. high school students over the past 2 decades. Smoking declined from 30% in 2000 to 6% in 2019. So in 19 years, it dropped 24%. However, e-cigarette use has increased substantially over the past decade, with current use among high school students increasing from about 1% in 2011 to nearly 28% in 2019. Now, we have noticed recently that they tend to stop quoting any numbers after 2019. They tend to not want to let anybody know that number dropped significantly in 2020, and again in 2021, and again in 2022. Well,
they never, and you guys know this too, I'm sure. They never point out that most of these kids were already smokers or they were experimenting with cigarettes.
Yes.
And then they go over to vaping. So the relationship goes in the opposite direction. And I don't know if they don't see this or they're just not talking about it. But if I can look at the literature, if you guys can look at it and you can say, these are the numbers you're putting out, and yet you're misinterpreting them, just stop. This is not justifiable. And I've seen multiple studies. The one that comes to mind now is from January 2021, where they did a survey of several thousand high school students, and it was clear, and they said so in the paper in the conclusion. They said these are smokers that are switching. Now, as I said, I don't think teenagers should be using nicotine at all. However, if they're using combustible tobacco, you can't say they're using vaping as a gateway to a product they're not using anymore. I don't know. Like it's the opposite direction. I don't know if tobacco control people ever watch this, but
the funny thing is they never. So obviously, the argument is that we can't have flavors for adults because kids like flavors.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're gonna get into this.
Well, I'm just gonna mention it. I'm just we don't have to argue about it. I mean, obviously, adults like things that taste good too.
Yes, absolutely.
The idea that somebody's going to go from something like this wonderful strawberry e-liquid that I'm vaping right now to something that tastes like ash or ass, either way. It's like, oh, I have the option of having a filet mignon, or I can have a McDonald's cheeseburger. Yeah. Like, who's going to make that choice? Like, no.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nobody's going to go from cotton candy to burnt leaf. It's not. It's not. Never going to happen.
If the federal government believed this, then whipped cream flavored vodka wouldn't be on the shelf. I was at the. Go ahead.
I have a cringe every time now, and this is something that just I think. This is only my opinion, but I see people on Twitter, vaping advocates, they bring up flavored vodka or flavored alcohol all the time.
Yeah.
And in my mind, now being that I'm a huge alcoholic too, it makes us sound like the youngest child in a a household of multiple kids, and the younger kid saying, well, you let Bobby do something, so you should let me do it too.
No,
that's what the petulant child every time that happens. Now, yes, I understand that they realize that things taste good because we have video of Nancy Pelosi showing off her fancy schmancy Italian ice cream in
Yeah.
her, all the different flavors of ice cream that she has in her thing. But she's also one of those anti-flavor people that say, oh, well, they're trying to hook our kids on these wonderful tasting things because only kids like things that taste good, obviously.
I would agree with you. I as a rule, I don't like to argue, well, these guys get to do it, so why can't I understand that. I'm sympathetic to that. I think, though, going back to your point about how you kind of change the culture around this, I think if you can point out to the average person out there who just reads the headlines, if you can show the logical inconsistency in the regulatory apparatus, then you'll get people to think a little bit. Because if flavors hook people on nicotine, or young people, I should say, teenagers, then doesn't it follow that could work with alcohol as well? Or it could work with marijuana, which you can buy,
Not here.
Well, where I am, there's dispensaries on every corner. They advertise gummy bears. They advertise pancake syrup. They like everything. You can get pot in anything.
Yeah.
And California is one of the states, like where I am in California, the county passed its own separate flavor ban just very recently. And this was the argument that they made. But a lot of the people who will say, we don't have to abide by federal marijuana regulation because, freedom, right? But then they will drop those very same arguments and then they'll try to ban flavored e-liquid, So I think if you can point that out to the average person, they might go, oh, yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, there it is again. There you go, Kevin. That's like the seventh mention tonight. In any case, I could be wrong about that, but as a writer, this is how I think about it because a lot of people come to our website that aren't part of the vaping world or they don't know anything about tobacco control. So if you can point out to them and go, hey, that's a good point, why?
See, for me, tobacco control, like them labeling themselves tobacco control, actually shows what their goal is. They're calling themselves tobacco control. So apparently, control is what you want.
Yeah.
Not necessarily tobacco control. You just want to control things.
I don't think they've ever hidden that. And if you look at, the journals not publishing research from vaping companies, no matter how good it is.
Yeah.
And you guys know that Juul's research is pretty good when it comes to the clinical data and the toxicological data. It's good. It's good science, mostly.
My argument has always been, doesn't matter who paid for the science. If the science is good and the experiment that you conducted can be repeated by somebody else and the result the same, the science is, if this, the science doesn't care about your feelings. Again,
my
science,
theory
it doesn't matter who paid the bills.
My theory is that the science that's acceptable is released, it's regurgitated the way they want it to be heard or read or seen, and then everybody else has to scramble to try to go, well, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. And when we do it, we being the industry does it, and it's funded by tobacco companies because we're tobacco now, then it's because it's a tobacco company. It doesn't matter what the research is. It's automatically wrong. And we didn't get first crack at it to give it the narrative we wanted you to hear. That's my take on that.
Well, if you look through their reasoning, and that was the same journal we were just looking at. If you look through what they say that, we need to keep tabs on what the vaping industry is up to because we all know they're marketing to children, which that's ridiculous. But in any case, if you want to keep tabs on them, you should want their scientists publishing in mainstream journals, or at least submitting to those journals. You should want them coming to scientific conferences because that's where the independent experts all show up. And that's how you can verify, because, and I've said this before too, if there is a company that is marketing to teenagers, they need to be held accountable because that's not okay. Or if they're fudging data, you need to say, hey, this is bad science. And the industry, I'm sure, would want that out of the literature too. So if you want to keep tabs on what the vaping industry does, you need to say, submit your stuff to JAMA and submit your stuff to whatever.
Yeah, we want to peer
Lancet.
review it so that we can
Yeah.
tear it apart.
Correct. And the fact that they don't want that tells me, and again, I'm speculating because I don't know what's in their heads. That tells me they don't want to do that because they're not going to be able to find the problems in it that they tell us exist. And that's the issue, right?
We have a very good friend, Dr. Marwa Glover, who I've already mentioned multiple times. She was or is the section editor for the Journal of Harm Reduction on tobacco harm reduction.
Mhm.
So she is having a hard time finding peer reviewers for pieces. Like, she's got tons of stuff that needs to be peer reviewed, but people are even afraid to be listed as one of the reviewers.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid that it's going to, affect their academic standing, their ability to maintain their tenure or their, whatever capacity it is, because academia is dogpiling on this topic.
Yeah.
So they're having a hard time because if you're in academia, it's either publish or perish.
Right.
So if you're writing research papers and you can't get somebody to peer review, then all of your shit is on pre-pub, and it's not, it's so she's having, it doesn't mean anything if it hasn't been peer reviewed and published. So, there's tons of vaping and nicotine research that's on the pre-pub sites that can't get reviewed because nobody is willing to stick their neck out and review.
Yeah. I think it was the Harm Reduction Journal. It might have been. I think it was. In any case, they said in something they published there, it was a review, that they can't even find universities that will conduct the studies that they claim they want done because nobody, as you said, nobody wants to be associated with it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do a clinical trial, for the most part, that vindicates in any way the efficacy or the safety of vaping.
Right.
And again, that goes back to the FDA's policy, because the FDA is funding research, the NIH is funding research, and they've made it very clear where they stand on this. And so nobody wants to be opposite a major federal regulatory agency.
Yeah.
So right. So they're locking down the journals, they're controlling the funding in many cases. So they're doing everything you would do if you didn't want good science and good information. You're locking the whole thing down, and everybody knows this is bad. If you're talking about climate change, or you're talking about back in the day, like the ACLU was concerned about sexually transmitted diseases being improperly researched because of the federal government not letting scientists do their work. Yeah. And so they're doing the same thing now, and everyone's turning a blind eye. We all this talk about misinformation and trust the science. And nobody wants that here. It is what it is. But that's why I have a job. So there.
Yeah.
Social, political.
David Lloyd is funny. He says someone dragged that witch from Pave onto the street.
Oh yeah. Hey, dude, if you guys can ever get someone on here for a dialogue or a debate, I would love to do that, dude, because I don't think they ever would.
We've invited Jerome Adams.
We've invited the Pave Mommies. We've invited
Glance,
Jerome onto the show. We've invited Stan Glance on the show.
Yeah, dude, standing invitation, any of them. I would love to do that.
None of them are willing to have a conversation with somebody that is intellectually superior than them. That's why they do daytime talk shows.
I'm not even that smart. I just can look at things and go, oh, well, that's sense, because like if you look at the stuff, like we talked about the bone fractures and erectile dysfunction, all this, it's all preposterous. Like they just have to go out in left field because they don't have anything else, So it's like diabetes, really. And if you look at that study,
that was one of the other ones that vaping causes, or could vaping cause pre-diabetes?
That's right. It wasn't even diabetes. And if you look at it, here's a tip. If you guys don't know this already, always go down and read the discussion section of a peer-reviewed paper and look carefully at the limitations, because that's where the come to Jesus moment is, because they show you the method, they show you the introduction, all of the technical stuff is up top, and at the very bottom they'll say, and by the way, self-reported data probably not reliable. So it's like,
what have I told you, Patrick?
Right. But well, in that case with that paper, because I read through it very carefully, when they get to discussing the mechanism, like how could vaping cause pre-diabetes, right? What biological pathway would make that work? And they linked to a study with smokers. It was from like 20 years ago or something. And what that study said is that, well, maybe it's the nicotine, but they didn't do any kind of experiment that would show it. They just did a glucose tolerance test with smokers. But like maybe that's just a bunch of overweight people that eat too much licorice, right?
Well, you don't, logic would say that if you get a whole bunch of people that smoke, they're probably not the most healthiest in the other parts of their life either.
Yeah.
But that would require you to, flex your logical muscle.
Correct. Yeah. The same paper, sorry, you got me on a tangent here. The same paper, they didn't find an association for smokers. So if you're smoking a pack a day, you're getting probably as much or more nicotine than anyone who vapes is. Probably more because a lot of people step down the nic levels in their vape over time. Why would you find an association for vaping but not for smoking? That doesn't make any sense. So something goofy is going on. I don't know what's going on here, but it's just absurd, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Cameron English.
Confirmation bias right there, buddy.
So Steve's got the comment, in what universe does a well-informed consumer know more than an expert?
In this universe.
What universe? One of my little quotes that I have on my blog is a well-informed consumer is a threat to public health, I think is how I put that, if I remember right. Does that sound right to you? Are we a threat to public health?
Well, I would
really,
say that not in the areas that they care about, because obviously they only care about money.
Hey, let me. Oh, sorry.
What? Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know what he's getting at with that question, but just in a sense, everything I write, because I am a journalist. I'm not a scientist. I've never claimed to be. Everything I write is reviewed by a PhD chemist and a retired surgeon. So an MD and a chem, everything I publish on that site, I'm not doing original research, but it's peer reviewed. So if I put something in an article that's wrong, then I would be called out on it. And everything that I write, I check, I try to reach out to people who know what they're talking about. So if I do anything about like vaping or smoking and cancer related, I know a cancer epidemiologist who I always ask, do I have this fact right? Did I read this paper correctly? Because I want to get things right. So I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm not claiming to know more than someone with a PhD in epidemiology or what have you. But clearly these studies are bad. You don't have to have a graduate degree to see that these are not good papers.
No, I mean,
not if I can.
Kevin's a retired cabbie, so yeah.
And just in a general sense, again, what are we always told, right? If you read Fact Check, if you read PolitiFact, if you read, all of these places, they're always telling you, follow the science, listen to the science, right? So you have to learn things in order to do that. So you want people to have some basic understanding of how science is done and how the scientific method works. But then the moment, and I'm not accusing your listener or your viewer of doing this, but you get this a lot from the tobacco people. They'll say, well, we're the experts here. You're not allowed to challenge us. But you can't have both ways, right? You can't tell me that you want me to be science literate and to have an opinion on things, and also to shut up when, I look at what you're doing and I say that that's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't disagree with me.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I can. I'm gonna keep doing it.
What I want them to do is prove themselves right. They don't have to prove me wrong. They just have to prove themselves right. And then if I show it to Patrick and he goes, well, you're an idiot, they're right, then I know I'm wrong. if I get an opinion,
you are an idiot. I just,
and then, well, that opinion's pretty clear, but it's not true necessarily. But if Janine sees it and Dr. Glover sees it and you've seen it and Jim McDonald or whoever's seen it, and they all come to the same conclusion that I did, then I'm probably right. But that's my peer review. I've done my blogs.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm getting hyphy, guys. You got me all worked up tonight. So, but like with the secondhand vape paper, right? They're saying that someone vapes, it exposes someone else secondhand, and it causes respiratory issues. I want to say it was over 90% of the people in the study were active smokers or marijuana users. So how in any way can you attribute the lung issues you're having or the respiratory issues to secondhand vaping if you're smoking pot every day? Give me a break. That's just a bad study design. Who would do that? Like, who would look at that study and go, oh yeah, this is going to be helpful. We're going to get good information out of this. No, not at all.
No, they're just looking for people that they can give $5 at the university to participate in to fill out a questionnaire. I mean, I went to college. I went to college. I had science going on. So that's what they used to do, is go around with a clipboard and a stack of $5 bills. Can you fill this out? Here's $5.
Yeah. It goes on and on. Like with the erectile dysfunction, they ask people a 2-question survey about whether they have ED or not. That's not reliable. And then the smoking relapse thing, right? So if you have someone who's vaping and you ask them, have you smoked a cigarette? Even that's the majority of people that tobacco with vaping as users for a while. The literature clearly, there was the clinical trial in the New England Journal of Medicine several years ago, and they explicitly said in the discussion section, people tend to be dual users as they step down from tobacco. So if you're going to ask a question like, does vaping cause smoking relapse? And your definition is 1 or 2 puffs. What are we doing here? This is not fruitful.
No, and that has a lot to do with, whether they're being paid to reach a certain hypothesis. This is something that, I don't believe that all academics are doing their research fairly. And I think that a lot of them put an ideology in front of the science. So some of them are specifically doing their research to reach a specific conclusion. So as long as they put words on paper and do a halfway decent job of trying to make it look like they're doing their work, whatever the conclusion is, most non-academic people or people that aren't being paid or aren't passionate about a topic, they're going to read the first couple sentences and then they're going to read the conclusion. It's just like reading a newspaper article. Most people read the lead, maybe a sentence or two, and that's it. That they're not going to waste a lot of time looking at the guts of the article or of a scientific, study.
There's lots of modal verbs and phrases.
May and might and could.
Yeah. Associated with, linked to. I don't think the general public needs to do that. And if I didn't do this for a living, I wouldn't read, JAMA. Why would I? That's stupid. But if you're a journalist, and a lot of these people that work in the media, and I have no problem throwing them under the bus because they don't do good work. If you're going to presume to be, you're going to tell everybody, I'm the fact checker.
Now you're roboting.
Off press release. That's unacceptable. Are you a reporter or are you just rehashing what, the press release from the university says? There's no point in that.
Well, this is cut and paste journalism now.
Yeah.
I mean, when I used to work for Gannett back in the day.
Okay. Yeah.
And, you know, we had to make sure that every sentence and whatever it was that we were submitting was something that we wrote, unless we were calling it a quote. But nowadays, I mean, half the time you read some of these articles written by multiple people in multiple places, and you look and it's almost verbatim. They've just gone through and changed a few words and a few sentences so that they can say this is not plagiarism. But yeah, I mean, nowadays people that are in the media, I mean, I was actually taught how to write a news article when I was in college, and you know, nowadays it's not just who, what, when, where, and why. I mean, that's what we were taught. That's the entire article. Don't put yourself in the article. You have no place in the article. You're just there to relay facts and let people formulate their own opinions. Nowadays, 90% of news articles are op-eds.
Oh, Patrick.
Yeah.
They're not even news pieces anymore. These are everybody's putting themselves
I have a
into the
rule
story.
generally that I don't trust any major outlet unless they show me repeat they do good work. So any of them, you know, Vice or Vox or HuffPo, as I said, CNN, any of these sites, until I see that they're reporting on a topic is good, I don't trust it, you know. So like ACSH is good, I know, because we don't publish stuff that's wrong. We have people that know what they're talking about. Or if you go to a aggregator like Real Clear Science, the editor over there knows his stuff and does not put articles on that list. He curates things from the mainstream press, but it's from reporters. So I just don't trust anybody who writes about this for a major news outlet unless I see, okay, they know what they're talking about. And you can tell within, you know, 50 or 100 words usually, just by the language they use and the implications that flow from the words that they use. So,
well, I mean, if I see like this week, we saw a new article, you know, fear-mongering diacetyl again on popcorn lung. And I'm like, this is settled science now. I mean, by now we can't, why is this showing up all this? And it's cyclical. Every couple years it comes back. We see the same articles rewritten, but it's the same nonsense. It just comes, you know, and now obviously this most recent one was from the UK. Kevin, what are you sharing? Because I think that's what's causing the roboting.
I want to rile him up some more. I don't want to share the article, but the article from the UK Telegraph, it's billed as a suitable alternative to tobacco from the Telegraph. Well, this is from the Telegraph from 2017, Agent Angel. What he just literally just said. She was asked, and I don't have the whole thread, but the screenshot is, we're not interested in benefits to smokers. We're interested in harm. She's the scientific editor of the Telegraph. So harm to smokers is acceptable by denying them harm reduction, asked Tom. And then she said, their condition is entirely self-inflicted. Non-smokers may take up vaping, believing it's safe based on findings like this. But that's an example of, you're the scientific editor of a rag, and what you're looking for is just harm. That's what we want to talk about. We don't want to talk about anything else. We want to make sure the narrative is nice and clean and thin, so the titles do what they're supposed to do. But that's UK. They do the same thing here.
There was you guys probably saw this. There was a paper in the journal that's, and it's just from. Yeah, can you hear me? There's a little bit of a delay. I don't know if I'm.
You're roboting on our end. Now you're frozen.
That's what it kept doing to me earlier.
Kevin,
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah, you were roboting there for a second, and then you went completely silent and locked up for some reason.
Anyways, this is the final thing. I got to go spend some time with my wife because I'm getting passive aggressive text messages. So there was this paper just last week in the American about the E-Valley epidemic, and one of the points they made, they don't betting on this, and that the evidence came in that it was vitamin E acetate and CBD and THC, and that there wasn't a scandal. It was just people using products that they bought legally that they shouldn't have been vaping. With perception in general, when in reality it was. So you guys all well know this, but the press in large part gets blame or should get blamed for hyping it and then leaving the story when the conclusion was, this isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's the actual thing that I embarrassed the Surgeon General about, because we actually reported on it before it actually happened, and we knew the cause. He knew the cause. There's actual evidence that shows that he was included in the email chain before it happened, and the warning was ignored. And when I suggested that the protocol should include, anytime one of these people come up with a mysterious lung, that they should be substance tested. And he, not me, he said, oh, well, you want us to clandestinely or surreptitiously drug test people when they have come into the ER. All you're doing is making them not trust their doctor. And I'm like, no, obviously people are going to self-report, especially since most of these cases occurred in places where THC ain't legal. They're not going to admit to using an illegal product, especially since most of them, or a good portion of them, were minors. So they're not going to say in front of their mom and dad, oh, I was vaping pot. No, they're going to say, oh, I was vaping nicotine, because one of them is less illegal than the other. And I was just like, dude, if I go to the ER because I stubbed my toe, the first thing they're going to do is piss test me. Doesn't make any sense. I think he's frozen again.
I want to make sure you're not pregnant.
Well, that too. But yes. Cameron's
all right, guys. Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna jump off. It's getting kind of late, at least for me. So if you want to have me back, I'd love to come back sometime. But
anytime.
It's been a blast. Just hit me up. I'd love to do it again. Thank you to you guys. Thank you to your viewers. It's fun.
Appreciate you.
We always piss people off to the point where they feel like they have to leave because they got so riled up their blood pressure goes up.
No, it's a good riled up, right? This should bother people. But
yes, people should be pissed off when they're lied to. Bye, Cameron. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
All right. Yeah, later, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron's wife.
Yes. Thank you. What an enjoyable young man he is.
Yeah.
Now it's back to your ugly ass.
I like it when we make new friends.
It's a different perspective on the same thing, and it's sometimes repetitive, but it's much clearer when someone else outside the box goes, Yeah,
it's better when it's a non-chucklehead that
I love that. Obviously, he's more intelligent than me.
That agrees with us. Yeah, I like it when we have a non-chucklehead,
a non-bot, if you will.
Yeah, see, now you're all like fuzzy looking. Is your kid playing video games, Kevin?
No, sir. Can you hear an echo?
No, but I'm not playing any video.
I don't know what
it's usually if we're playing something that's got a video component to it. That
he told me. Well, I do have YouTube up. I'm going to take it back off, which is why I don't participate, folks. I am completely wireless. My son has told me allegedly that it's my 2016 computer that's acting up, not us.
It's probably a little bit of the bandwidth. I mean, obviously, when you're
I'm gonna-
broadcasting, well, I'm doing the broadcasting now, but yeah, it's the video. You're bit mapped. You're all fuzzy looking right now.
So what I'm going to do
Nobody
is
cares. We could turn the cameras off. We could turn the cameras off again, and people would just be. Tom Morowitz will freak out in the chat room if we turn the cams off again.
Tom, look at Tom. Positive reinforcement from a different angle. Right. We're not nuts. That's basically what the show just said.
See, we could just do this, and then we wouldn't have any problems with video freezing.
There we go. Nobody cares about what I look like.
No, but Tom will be. There'll be. You watch. There'll be comments in just a minute about turning the damn cameras back on.
Next time we do this, what we do is we both have pictures of Tom's dog. You get Bernie, and I get Tom's, and then would everybody be happy?
So,
what?
Now I am hearing myself in the background, Kevin.
I'll turn you down a little.
Why aren't you wearing your headphones? You need to buy some headphones, man.
I thought they were partially screwing up the bandwidth or whatever the hell I don't have.
No, the Bluetooth that shouldn't do anything. But
I didn't think so, but who knows?
But are you aware that Sesame Street characters are advertising vaping products now? Did you?
Oh, good Lord, no! I did not know this.
This is one of my favorite Sesame Street characters too.
It's not Animal. Is it Animal? If it's
Animal was not on Sesame Street, you stupid old dude. That's the Muppets. That's the Muppet Show, right? It's not Sesame Street.
Janice and I had an argument about that earlier.
Are you on crack or what?
Why is Cookie Monster there?
So it says a new investigation has shown the inner workings of a vape, and my whole vibe is up in smoke.
Oh my God.
And now there's a picture of Cookie Monster and some dude like putting together this looks backwards to me.
You don't know what the fuck he's doing. You don't you know he doesn't.
I mean this doesn't look right to me. I could be wrong, but the coil I don't know that
are they. Let's cut to the chase. Is Cookie Monster part of it, or is it just that they put the freaking picture on there?
Well, let's watch. Let's keep going. Let's see what's in. Have you ever wondered what's inside the friend by your side? You keep sucking and blowing. Now that's just. Did we write this? Because this sounds like something we would write. A heart, probably. You should text him. So. This is by Michael, and Michael's talking about the friend by his side that he keeps sucking and blowing, and you should text him. But have you also cared to wonder what's going on inside the little vape of yours? Well, we may just have the answers for you. Vice Australia sent 3 popular vapes over to Celine Kelso at the School of Chemistry and Molecular Bioscience at the University of Wollongong. Where's my Aussie people? Wollongong?
God.
Wollongong. Anyway, it was all in a bid to see what makes that vice of yours tick and also investigate why they can be so addictive to people who use them. And who better to talk about vices than Vice? Sorry, I had to. Puns are my vice. Oh, this is bad.
He hasn't used the penis reference yet, so he's not even that funny.
Well, he's still talking about sucking and blowing. Anyway, the 3 vapes sent over to the Gong were the I Get XXL Kiwi Ice flavor, the I Get King Passion Fruit, Pineapple, and Cranberry Ice flavor, and the Gun Pod Wild Berry flavor. So we go, here's a summary of the findings that were handed back from the lab. So there's a bad vegetable. So it says, per Vice, every vape sent to the lab contained vegetable glycerin and propylene glycol. Do we have any creep? Should we play like a scary music when they do? The ratios of each can vary depending on the manufacturer, said Dr. Kelso. The percentage of each will affect the amount of vapor that is created or aerosol that is created when vaping. So, if you have a lot of VG or vegetable glycerin, you will be getting a big cloud, or you will get a big cloud. If you have less of the VG, you'll have a little cloud. There hasn't been much research into whether or not the inhalation of these substances can negatively impact your body. Some studies conclude that they can be pretty rough on the lungs, but we're still in the early days. Kevin, there's Cookie Monster again, and he's throwing vegetables away.
Oh my God. Nicotine vegetables.
Does
that say
we're
fuck
it
vegetable
says, fuck
glycerin?
vegetable glycerin. All my friends hate vegetable glycerin.
Is this well? They don't have. I don't know what their amendments are over there.
So, my question is I am quite aware of the fact that there are studies on inhalation of PG and VG dating back prior to World War II. So, how is this still in the early days? You see that?
I don't
still
know.
In the early days. You see?
Well, it's may, could, might, possibly, likely.
But still in the early days. I mean, this research has existed since prior, because one of the sad truths is that back prior to or during World War II, there were quite a lot of experiments that were conducted by the American military on their own guys.
Yeah.
And one of them was a Tuskegee-like experiment where they actually put African American soldiers in a barracks, and while they were sleeping, they filled the area with PG to test and see what it would do. So this is not new science. This is, I mean, obviously nothing bad happened, but sad fact of the matter is they didn't know that nothing bad was going to happen, but they did it anyway.
Weren't they? Weren't they for years? And this is the hearsay part. Weren't they using PG in hospitals to purify air at some point?
They were in older air systems. They have, especially in what they call negative rooms. Right. So they have negative air systems, so that when the door will close on its own to keep a vacuum, so that it doesn't allow germs from inside of the room to leave.
Right. Okay. I wanted to make sure I was right, or that you'd confirm.
But we are also aware that PG is antibacterial, antimicrobial. So what it does is it's suspended in the air, and it captures molecules of your breath, your emissions, and it makes them heavier so that they go to the floor faster.
Cookie Monster fucking thing.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
Yeah. So anyway, forbidden flavor. In terms of the flavoring used in there, it's common flavoring, said Dr. Kelso. So you'd find it in typical lozenges, candies, and in other kinds of commonly consumed compounds. But those are meant to be ingested. Eating them, so those are meant to be ingested - eating them. Yes, we know that. That's what ingested means. There's very little data in the terms of adverse effects of these compounds when inhaled. That is not actually inaccurate, but it's not 100% accurate either.
All in the wording.
Yes. So per Vice, long-term exposure to vape flavors that are banned can be harmful. Some flavor compounds produce aldehydes during the process of huffing and puffing them, which are by all means more toxic than your ex who looks like a waligi, whatever that is. See, they're using Australian words that I don't like. But this is actually not true. VG itself will produce aldehydes when heated and processed. This is not only the flavors that do this. So anyway, so yeah, and obviously regular oxygen, Kevin, I don't know if you know this or not, but when you inhale oxygen and then exhale it, you're already creating aldehydes because formaldehyde is one of the compounds that your body creates during regular respiration.
I did not know that until after I was vaping for more than a year, and I was like, "What? What? Really?"
Yeah. I mean, in small amounts, but yes, it you know. So yeah, maybe don't suckle on that roast chicken e-liquid your cousin gave you. Don't even get me started on tuna vapes. I'm serious.
God,
This is a published article, Kevin.
I can write better than this.
And this is not even tuna. This dumbass is showing a picture of them slicing salmon, not tuna.
Oh my God.
So anyway, Nico Teenage Nightmare. Nico, according to Vice, one full gun pod vape is estimated to have the nicotine equivalent of 30 whole cigarettes at 305.123 milligrams of nicotine. So that is the total volume of nicotine in this pod, which is meant to be, a day and a half or so, I'm assuming.
Right.
I mean, people do realize that this is not all ingested all at once.
Well, that's what they want you to believe.
Yeah. For reference, your average cigarette contains about 8 to 20 milligrams. Yes, and you have 20 of those. So if you multiply 20 times 20, you get how much, Kevin? 400 milligrams, you dumb son of a bitch.
And all the extra smoke.
Tars, the total aerosol residue, all the stuff. So this pod is supposed to be the equivalent of 30 cigarettes. Right? That's what it says right there. 30 cigarettes. You're supposed to, that's maybe a day and a half.
30 whole cigarettes, not partial.
30 whole cigarettes. So that's only 305. So they're saying down here that 20 cigarettes is 400. So this has got less nicotine than an entire pack of cigarettes.
Well, it's tobacco control math.
I'm sorry, my Aussie friends, but this person's a fucking idiot.
Now, play along with me for a second, would you?
When
you light a cigarette and it's got 8 to 20, some of that isn't consumed anyway. It's inefficient because it continues to burn. A vape delivers your nicotine that you desire, want,
because it doesn't consume nicotine when you don't hit the fire button.
Right, and it's on demand, so you waste is literally zero. Nothing gets burned. Anyway,
burn, baby, burn.
It's just a thought in my head. That's all.
And that's also what Dr. Kelso says. However, when smoking a cigarette, not every milligram of nicotine is inhaled as it burns. So you're thinking like an idiot Aussie doctor, Kevin. The average quantity of nicotine inhaled is about 1.1 to 1.8 milligrams of nicotine per cigarette. So you're saying each cigarette contains about 8 to 20 milligrams of nicotine, and we're only inhaling about 1/20th, maybe a little less than a tenth.
An inefficient delivery system, Patrick. It always has been. That's why you want to smoke
the average
more if you want to.
Yeah. That means that for a pack of 20 cigarettes, you'll likely inhale 22 to 36 milligrams of nicotine. They weren't around me when I smoked a cigarette, because I'll tell you this for a fact, Kevin. When you have to smoke 2 cigarettes in a 10-minute break, there's not a lot of inactive smoking time there. Like
that was me.
You're sucking down as much of that as possible in that 10-minute break.
Yes, I was.
Despite the nicotine levels being way higher, Kelso also claims that a cigarette is more harmful than a vape. That's true.
We got one piece of
all of this article, and this is the only sentence that is valid right there.
So far, so good.
It is well known that there are a lot of other things other than flavor and the nicotine that you're inhaling when you smoke a cigarette, she said. So vaping is bad, but it is less harmful than an actual combustible cigarette. Okay, so now that's about half truth, because the vaping is bad is not true. The vaping is vaping. That's
Hey, Wayne. Now, see, you got to bury it in the middle, above the.
Now they're going over to Alice in Wonderland over here, and they're now they're advertising to kids even more by showing a cartoon. First they had a Muppet from Sesame Street. Now they're showing a Disney Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if I think Warner Brothers owns the Muppets, and I think Disney owns this, obviously. So they're stealing intellectual property from two different megacorps here.
Yes. At least.
So
because they have no intellect of their own.
There you have it, folks. The inner machinations of a vape. No, you didn't actually. You didn't actually show us any mechanism of a vape.
No.
They stole all of this information from Vice, by the way.
Right. Chugga said smoke delivers nicotine more efficiently. Either way,
it does. Your body processes it more efficiently. Now,
right.
The inefficient part is the part where you have the cigarette lid and you're not inhaling, and it's still consuming the cigarette. You know what I'm saying?
Burning it down.
Know what I'm saying? So you're wasting. That's why heat not burn is probably better, because you're not wasting half the damn cigarette. Because
Yep. I want one. I want to try one.
I want to try one, but nobody will send me one, and they don't have them here. Somebody promised to get me one when he came back from Europe, but he hasn't come back from Europe yet.
See.
I think he's just living there now. I think he's decided not to come home to Tennessee with his wife and his children. He's just gonna stay in Europe and hanging out with Phil on the internet and stuff, is what I think.
Yeah, but he's not wearing pants, so
So in a hereto unheard of move, Kevin. This is a hereto unheard of move. Let me fix this here. This is never before. Oh, he's home now. Okay, this has never before happened, Kevin. Somebody is suing Juul for illegally targeting youth. Now, this is a Native American tribe. The Tulalip Tribe is suing e-cigarette company Juul. So,
that explains the latest diatribe of shit that Caleb put out this week. Okay.
Well, I mean, they've been working on a Legends advertisement program to target specifically Native American tribes to not vape and instead keep smoking those native spirit cigarettes that.
Yeah. Hey, I got an ad this week. I'm sorry, Patrick. Wait a minute. Let me get my camera. Look at that, huh?
Let me make you solo. How do I do that? Oh, this is solo. Here. Boom.
Look at them coupons, right?
What is that for?
Oh, you can't see them.
It's all fuzzy.
It's the Native American right there.
Oh, yeah.
Came to my son. Isn't that wonderful?
Huh. Well, he's an adult though, right?
He is. He's not going to use them because he's tried them and he doesn't like them.
They're very
fun to throw away.
They're very unique. How about that? I know people that love them, but I never liked them. But anyway, the Tulalip Tribes of Washington have sued e-cigarette giant Juul Labs, alleging the company and its affiliates illegally targeted teenagers across sovereign Indian nation north of Seattle with deceptive ads about the addictiveness of its products. See, bastard, I have offered to do entire shows without my camera, but people people demanded that we turn the cameras on, but Kevin is botting over there, and his son suckered him into taking the hard wire from and moving the router to his room so that he could watch porn in full def while his dad gets stuck with crappy, choppy video.
That's right.
The Tribes.
Jeffrey's in the room too.
Yeah, did you see Jeffrey? Anyway, the Tribe's 316-page complaint filed in the U.S. District Court of Seattle last week alleges that Juul and its affiliates adopted the cigarette industry's playbook to hook a new generation of young tribal members on nicotine. Now, I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to be a dick about this, but don't most Native American tribes have some sort of tobacco ceremony already? I'm just saying.
They do.
And I'm not judging you on that because I like the smell of burning tobacco.
No.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Juul and the management defendants sought to grow the market share of nicotine-addicted e-cigarette users beginning by at least early 2015 through two related schemes, the complaint reads. First, by designing an unsafe product with a high nicotine content that was intended to addict or exacerbate the addiction of its users. Second, by marketing and misbranding that potent product to the broadest possible audience of potential customers, including young people whose addiction would last the longest and be the most profitable for the defendants.
Right, sure.
If I was making a product, I would do the same thing. I would advertise my product to the broadest possible audience of potential customers.
You think?
I would do that. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a reasonable thing to do if you have a business. I mean,
oh my God.
So as a result, use of Juul's, you know what, Kevin? I've just decided.
What?
I've just decided. Now I'm going to take this off the screen for a minute so that you guys, and I'm going to make myself full screen so that you can see the seriousness in my eyes. I think as a white European, I think that we should sue the Native American tribes because they're the ones that introduced tobacco to the white man.
What?
Because tobacco was not cultivated anywhere in the world but America prior to the founding of the New World. And they introduced tobacco to us. They also introduced us to cocaine as well.
And corn, right? Wasn't it corn?
And corn. Now, high
Which makes
fructose
whiskey.
corn syrup is not good for us. I'm just telling
Well,
you.
corn makes whiskey, right?
So I think we have a valid case here. Let's find
Except for the
crooked
whiskey.
attorney that will take this case because
I think we know a couple.
we didn't smoke anything until we came here. And yes, they gave us tobacco and we gave them sexually transmitted diseases and maize, except that Janine misspelled maize as maize. There's an I in there, dear.
Oh,
I just thought of it. We should sue them.
don't we know an ambulance chaser?
I'm sure that there's a crooked fish attorney that we know that would probably take the case. Just saying.
Something. Is there really a point?
Yes,
to this
see, Jeffrey's right. Jeffrey's right. We should sue the Cubans. Cuba was where Christopher Columbus got the tobacco from. See. And Jeffrey's from Costa Rica, so he knows. He's a smart guy.
That's so sad. So do we sue the Cubans or Christopher Columbus?
No. Christopher Columbus was a white European innocent guy like us.
Yeah.
I can't even say that with a straight face. Oh,
Poor Chris. Jesus. Oh my God.
no,
Really?
I think cocaine and tobacco were probably the revenge that Christopher Columbus got. I mean, for coming over here and you know, being the colonizer. He was the first, really, Kevin.
Doing bad things, but yeah.
He was the first like horrible colonizer, and that the and that what the people use the you colonizers need to know your place or something. I heard somebody say that. I'm like, dude, my grandparents didn't come to America until like 1918, so don't blame the shit on me. Anyway,
Right.
as a result, use of Juul's vaping products became rampant among Tulalip. Somebody corrected, Janine corrected my pronunciation earlier. Among Tulalip tribal youth, with the percentage of 12th graders reportedly consuming nicotine nearly doubling between 2017 and 2018, according to the lawsuit. So it went from 0.5 to 1%, Kevin.
Right. Well, it doubled though. See, it's the wording that matters.
Yeah. Juul delivers nicotine to the bloodstream so efficiently that the company's engineered explored features to stop users from ingesting too much nicotine too quickly. Nicotine does that on its own. If you take too much nicotine, you get nauseous, you get a little dizzy. Your body does that already.
Yeah.
You get a little
Just like a patch.
Nick sick. We call that Nick sick.
Yeah.
One
Just
idea
like
was
a
to
patch.
shut the device off for half an hour or more after a certain number of puffs, according to Chen Yizing, a former Juul scientist. The concern stemmed from the fact that Juul, unlike a cigarette, never burns out. Well, it does. The battery will die eventually, but upper management rejected the concerns that the scientists raised, and the company never produced an e-cigarette that limited nicotine intake, the court documents read, because the nicotine does that on its own.
Yes. Self-medication's pretty simple. I want more, I get more. I want less, I use less. Jesus.
So what did Janine do that was excessively Canadian?
I don't know.
Oh, she ate. I think it was because she ate.
Oh, yeah.
According to the suit, cigarette companies have known for decades that flavored products are key to getting young people to acclimate to nicotine. In the 1972 Brown and Williamson memorandum called Youth Cigarette New Concepts, it specifically noted it is a well-known fact that teenagers like sweet products. In 1979, Laura Lard memorandum concluded that young customers would be attracted to products with less tobacco taste, and even proposed borrowing data from Lifesavers Candy Company to determine which flavors enjoyed the widest appeal amongst youth.
Of course.
In 2009, the FDA banned flavored cigarettes other than menthol under the FSP and TCA of 2009. Flavored cigarettes attract and allure kids into addiction. Health and Human Services Assistant Secretary Howard Koh, MD, MPH, said in a news conference announcing the ban.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what we're saying is this new one-of-a-kind lawsuit
Never been
between somebody and Juul has now been announced. How trend-setting, how creative and
what's that old saying, Patrick? Bad publicity is better than no publicity. Was that Mae West? Who said
it? Could be. I'm just saying, new boss, same as the old boss. Is
Yes. As long as I keep seeing pictures of cigarette packs and Juul, because there has to be a comparison, as stated per the law, you have to have that advertising continually. So that's a good thing. I like that.
So in a story here, I'm waiting for a window that's about to open so that I can exit out. There. No, David Lloyd, you have to stay because this next one is great. You're gonna love this one. So the next news article is from the Daily Mail, and in a story that has the longest headline that I have seen in weeks. You'll love this one. 19-year-old who quit 4-year vaping addiction cold turkey as part of a $3,000 bet documents the horrific realities of withdrawal from binge eating and vomiting to brutal manic episodes.
This is a challenge.
Challenge.
So let's see, Patrick. 19 quits a 4-year addiction. So 18, 17, 16. So he's 15 when he starts.
She. It's a girl.
Oh, sorry. Whatever.
Her name is McCall Mirabella.
Well, I don't know any better because you're 15 and you're betting. So you're already gambling at 15. You're doing other risky things and behaviors. Right? So far, so have I got it?
Probably, anyway, it says here, McCall Mirabella, 19 from Arizona. I don't know why this is being recorded by the Daily Mail in the UK, if this is a teenage girl from Arizona, decided to stop using e-cigarettes back in January after a friend offered her $3,000 to abandon the drug. While McCall, who is going to donate the money to charity if she completes the bet, thought it would be easy, she soon realized that the hold the drug had on her.
Yeah.
She was hit with severe withdrawals, which resulted in her becoming violently ill, vomiting and breaking down in tears while battling urges to smoke. Sounds to me like she's got some other problems, Kevin.
Yeah.
So anyway, McCall videotaped the entire thing and uploaded it to her. Videotaped? Really?
I knew you were coming to that.
Did you use a Betamax? I mean, videotaped?
Oh my God.
Anyway, in an attempt to warn others about the dangers of nicotine addiction, one clip taken 10 hours after she took her last hit, 10 hours, showed McCall bawling and trembling as she struggled to fight the intense cravings.
Sure.
10 hours. Oh, she couldn't even go. Dude, I can do 10 hours all the time. I go to sleep and wake up 10 hours later and go poop and open make a pot of coffee and putter around the house. It could be 11 or 12 hours before I take my first, toot off of my vape. I mean,
oh my God.
Despite it feeling like she was at war with her body and mind, McCall pushed through and is now 125 days clean.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this kind of pisses me off because they're using treatment words like clean.
Yes. Yeah.
This is.
How come, Patrick? How come she didn't try a patch or gum? What happened?
I don't know. I don't know. Because that wouldn't make a cool story on YouTube.
Oh my God. So the headline and the subtext is the same as this, right? Goodness gracious.
A teenage YouTuber documented. No, I just read all this. Let's see.
Yeah, they redid it.
Capturing. This is just a repeat of the same nonsense with a few extra words. So she, instead of using the word vomiting, they're using the word throwing up down here. Mood swings. Now that's a teenage girl. All teenage girls have that, whether they vape or not. Manic episodes, insomnia, and binge eating. That's also a teenage girl symptom. That doesn't really.
Let me stop you. Does nicotine cause binge eating, or does stopping nicotine cause?
She's saying stopping. She went cold turkey. So this happened after she went cold turkey.
So,
but she was probably binging and purging well before that, I think.
Purge.
Not to be insensitive to, body insecurity issues that young women have.
No.
And they do. I'm not, it's a valid thing. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but I am making fun of it. Sorry, I can't help it. I am an asshole. It just happens.
Well,
anyway, Mirabella 19, blah blah blah, decided to start. That's a repeat. However, she was soon hit with severe withdrawals, which resulted in her becoming violently ill, breaking down in tears on numerous occasions. Again, vicious mood swings is just part of being a teenage girl.
Yeah, well,
I mean, there are a couple females in the chat room that I'm sure that they would admit that when they were teenage girls, they probably did have some of this. Maybe not all of it, but some of this.
oh my God, what a bullshit!
I mean,
story.
the lovely Janine just went through her teenage years, so she would be able to testify that yes,
She also stated her friend's son vaped and helped with his anxiety, and he quit after a year, didn't need it anymore. And our girlfriend Erin, her boy stopped at 17 years old, and it was just because of a text
and we already know there was a scientific study. There was a scientific study that we talked about just recently where it said that girls process nicotine better than boys, and therefore don't have the same brain inflammation that boys do. We read that study, right? That's the teenage rat, male rat study.
Yeah. So
anyway, she videotaped the entire thing and uploaded it to her YouTube channel, where it now has received 456,000 views.
There you go.
Yeah, now we're getting there. Now I have to ask if this is a photograph of this teenage girl,
and
why are they showing this?
Why? Yeah, just like the silicone girl last week.
I mean, why? I mean, it doesn't seem right to me that they're showing her with her camisole. Is that what that's called?
I don't have no friggin' idea.
Now they're showing her. Her mommy took her phone away. That's why this. That's why she had to use the videotape.
So, mom wasn't watching her 15-year-old vape, but now she's watching her 19-year-old.
And now this is a picture here. This is the toilet bowl. This is here where they just cut the part where she stuck her finger down her throat to make herself vomit.
Sure. Oh, see, nice images. Oh, look how sad.
Oh, why the hell not, Kevin?
Oh my God, you're gonna do it, aren't you?
After this advertisement, you're gonna mute
almost
yourself.
as if doing something illegal would be illegal, but nobody knows that.
Mute yourself.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna play the video.
Discretion is advised.
Lung illnesses that could be linked to vaping.
It took 2 days for my lungs to fail. I almost died.
Vaping in teenagers is something that is causing harm to our kids. We want that message to be loud and clear.
My name is McCall Mirabella, and I am addicted to nicotine. I started vaping freshman year of high school, and I stopped when I turned 19. So basically a little over 4 years.
Teenagers are vaping nicotine and marijuana at higher rates than ever before.
To all of you mothers and fathers out there who think, not my kid, this is your PSA. Yes.
Marijuana?
No. So she apparently lost her trick vaping sponsorship because, there were a lot of people on social media that were sponsored vapor kids. And then obviously when that company lost its PMTAs, so now she's doing anti-vaping ads so that she can keep her monetization on her social medias.
Did she say vaping marijuana?
No, she did not.
Okay.
Somebody in the background said that more kids were vaping nicotine and marijuana, but not her. She did. So yeah, she started. She was underage. She was illegal.
She stopped underage.
January of 2022, I asked my friend if he wanted to quit nicotine with me. The truth is, practically my whole friend group is addicted to nicotine. Vaping is as common as teen drinking in my world. One of my best friends, Sean, doesn't vape, and he ended up betting me and 7 of my friends $3,000 each if we could quit nicotine until.
Now, where is this kid getting $3,000 for? How many kids did she just say? 7. So where's this
underage?
Kid $21,000 if all of these people quit? Where is he getting this money?
Right.
January of 2022, I asked my friend if he wanted to quit nicotine with me. The truth is, practically my whole friend group is addicted to nicotine. Vaping is as common as teen drinking in my world. One of my best friends, Sean, doesn't vape, and he ended up betting me and 7 of my friends $3,000 each if we could quit nicotine until January 1st of 2023. If you've never been addicted to anything before, this probably sounds like a really good idea and an easy way to make cash. But addiction is a disease, one that shows you the ugliest parts of yourself. But we haven't gotten there yet.
Did you?
You know, this really. You cough, I'll talk. This looks like
I'm aspirating here.
Really shitty Truth Initiative ad that just has been repackaged into her doing it. So it looks like it's not.
Jeffrey just said who produced this video. She's using video lights and motion graphics, etc.
See,
it is highly produced. This is.
Let's actually do this shit, yo. I'm so excited, actually.
12?
Yeah.
It is? That was my last hit. We got this.
Good luck, Mickey.
Big baller. I already want to hit it again.
Just like that, the challenge had begun.
Guys, we're 4 minutes in. What's going on?
Since day one, I told Sean and all of my friends that quit with me, if I could make it to December, I was going to donate the money. And I'm doing that because I want to prove that I'm quitting for myself. Make sure you subscribe to see if I make it until December. Fingers crossed. I know I will be able to.
Common nicotine withdrawal symptoms: nicotine cravings, anger, frustration, and irritability, difficulty concentrating, insomnia, restlessness, anxiety, depression, hunger, or increased appetite.
I had no idea what was coming.
I'm not playing this the whole way through, by the way. I just, this is obviously propaganda. Her friend Sean probably is getting money from his friend Michael Bloomberg.
So, to clarify, a 15-year-old...
And her channel is monetized. So,
right. A 15-year-old starts vaping, and then a 19-year-old still underage stops vaping.
Yeah. You have a point somewhere?
It was illegal all the way through.
Yes, it is. Just
Make
saying.
sure you subscribe. Oh my God, I missed this one completely. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness that somebody tweeted it and I took it off of Twitter.
I'm glad you did.
So, going back to our pedophilia and child abuse conversation from earlier.
Yep.
So this one is teachers hid in toilet cubicles in bid to catch students vaping.
Yeah. Somebody's going to get their ass beat. They keep doing this.
Now, what's really funny is over here in the number 2 headline on this stuff. This is a website, stuff.co.nz. There's a pedophilia article right here.
Imagine how that connects.
Yeah. An Auckland headmaster said it was necessary for his staff to go into the student bathrooms in response to a growing problem of nicotine vaping, but it hasn't gone down well with students. A student from West Lake Boys High School wrote to Stuff on behalf of his peers saying that they had been made to feel uncomfortable by teachers hiding in the toilet cubicles. We call those stalls here. We don't call those cubicles. But anyway.
We call those perverts.
Yeah, the bathroom block with which teachers had been staking out had become deserted because students did not want to use it. The student acknowledged that as a result of teachers monitoring the toilets, vaping had stopped, but he felt it was an unwarranted intrusion. So what about those people like me? Like, I can't perform in front of an audience. Like, I can't poop in front of like if I know there's people around, I can't poop. So that could affect the health of these people that are holding it in, because some teachers hanging out hoping that they might catch a sight of you,
You know what?
either naked or vaping, one of the two. I don't know what these people are. What is
our-
the motivation?
Our Saturday school teacher, because I went to a couple of those, the teacher had heavy, 70s boots on. And he would walk from one, we had the gymnasium was our breakfast club, if you will. And he would let us take our break at 10 o'clock, and he would walk down with us to the restroom. And he would slowly walk back to the front of the auditorium. And then he would slowly walk back and say, hey, come on, let's go. There's smoke filling the hallway. He didn't give two shits. He never once went in that bathroom. Ever.
I never smoked in the bathroom when I was
Never.
in school, Kevin. I just went to the smoking area.
Oh, my fucking word. I don't understand the obsession with these fucking adults looking at these fucking kids. I don't understand.
I don't even want to start a conversation about the absolute diseased mind of some people in our society today, Kevin. I am positive that there were sickos and people that would victimize children throughout history. It just seems like it's more common now than it ever has been before. And I don't know if that's because of the over-sexualization of kids today versus back in old-timey days. I look at pictures from my mom from their yearbook, and they went to school wearing like suits and button-up shirts with ties and old-fashioned black, like, unattractive glasses. And then I look at kids my age when I was in school, and I know that when I was in school, I was looking at teenage girls going, they were hot. But then I look at them today and I'm like, they were,
of course.
And then nowadays I look at these kids going to school and they're wearing shorts that are like one step away from being like bikinis. And I just don't get it. The other thing I think about the weirdness of today's kids is it literally was 102 degrees today. And I am not exaggerating. I was driving down the road and this teenage boy was walking down the sidewalk wearing a fucking hoodie with the hood up and the sleeves all the way down and 100 plus degrees. And I'm like, what is going on? I mean,
wow.
I'm what the hell?
And a
is
backpack,
going,
I assume.
No, there's no school, so they school's out, so there's no book bags, but like skateboarding or whatever. And I'm like, how in the hell can you even breathe at 110 degrees with a hoodie over your head? I don't get
you acclimate, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I go out in a t-shirt and I'm watering the grass at 7:30 at night, and I, get a little perspiration because it's hot. And I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt,
I climbed in attics.
I mean, I get it. I'm bigger than some, I got a layer of body fat, but like seriously, yo.
I could never
degrees,
ever
I don't get
never ever all the attics I've been in, I could never say I was like happy and comfortable and acclimated to 110 degrees in an attic, even in Ohio. Ever. Never.
I'm just saying.
Crazy. I would take 3 shirts to work. So
I mean,
I don't know.
So back to this article here. I mean, the kid acknowledges, yeah, vaping went down, but it made them uncomfortable enough that they would not go to the restroom.
So much for concealing and hiding it from them, right?
Right. So, obviously this is having some sort of psychological impact on them because they wouldn't go poop because they're afraid a teacher might come in and spy on them while they're pooping.
Right.
There's just some weird shit going on today, Kevin. I'm just,
It's a lot.
I said it a while ago when Cameron was here. Some dude peek over the top of the stall while I'm taking a poop. He's going to come out with a couple teeth less,
and one less eye.
Well, he might voluntarily gouge his own eye out if he had to look at me while I was pooping. But I'm just saying.
I don't really have words unless they're going to be bad words. I don't have any words for that.
Oh, I have plenty of bad words, Kevin. That's just...
And Cameron did such a great job with us that I don't want to ruin all that with a bunch of expletives. I don't.
He was very careful though. Like he was not going. I mean, he was getting angry. You could tell he wanted to say stuff, and then realized I better not say too much stuff on. That like.
Well, there's a trace of everything. So yeah,
I got to be responsible and not say things that might come back and haunt me.
It's okay, but we know. He knows, we know, and we know he knows, and he knows. But even he himself said that somebody peer reviews his stuff, which I've not found anything that he's written, and I haven't read everything, but he's got quite a collection that's been like, well, wait a minute. I've never done that with his text, So
see, I don't get Tom. You people, first that article that we read a while ago from Australia about blowing and sucking and calling your friend, and now Tom is in the chat room and he's like, all the big cool kids were in the sheds sharing fags with the teachers. What you do in the privacy of your own home, but you should always practice safe sex. You shouldn't be sharing partners. I'm just saying.
Cigarettes.
Oh.
Oh, Paul's in the room. Listen to that.
Promiscuity is not no. Safe sex always. Harm reduction.
Harm reduction would be leaving these freaking kids alone and paying attention to the access and compliance part of this problem. I'm not creating any more. Idiots.
I thought that was really funny. I don't know.
I'm trying to ignore you.
I'm trying to be humorous over here, and you're ruining it all, Kevin.
Oh my god. So did you read Cameron's bio?
I'm sure I did over sometime in the past, not this last minute or two.
Because I'm saying Forbes, Real Clear Science, Priorities Magazine, Science 2.0, McGraw-Hill in textbooks. So think about it.
I don't know why we keep getting smart people on our show.
Well, look at the standard of you and I, and then you just go from there. That's all. Now Pip is sharing fags. See?
Pip, no, she says sharing fags happens behind the shed while vapors are locked in the toilets.
I went to the smoking area anyway.
You just weren't invited to the party is all I'm saying.
We weren't allowed to have the smoking area during Saturday session, but during the week we were fine. So we had to go to the bathroom. But nobody cared. Nobody cared. I got caught once.
Caught what?
Actually, it was the same guy. Huh?
You got caught sharing a fag? Is that what you're saying?
No, No, the same
With the
Saturday
same guy?
session guy.
You said the same guy.
Same-
I'm just wondering.
It was Mr. Baylor, and I was over in whatever Hawk Hall or whatever hall it was. I was taking a drag, and he walked in. He goes, "Yeah, come on, you're going to get another one." So I took one more hit through the toilet and said, "Okay." There was no bullshit going on. He just gave me a Saturday session, handed me the paper, and I said, "I'll see you Saturday. It's okay." Good Lord.
Whatever floats your boat, guy.
I bet you, if I were vaping in school, I could wait the whole day. I couldn't do it for smoking. But that's just me.
Year 6. I didn't go to high school for 6 years. That's crazy. You got held back like 2 times. What? Homicidal.
Now I got to know what DOB is. Yes, Paul. Of course I did.
Now I gotta go. Now I have to. I didn't realize I had to do this, but I have to go through this settings now and make sure that you guys didn't ban people that shouldn't be banned.
Can you see who banned them?
No.
Could have been an accident, I guess, for Cerny.
There's some porn bots in here that have been banned, but you knuckleheads I gave wrenches to, you guys just over
was it
give you some power. There's 3 different people named Cheech in here that got banned.
Well,
I'm not gonna remove them. Some guy named Vincent, Nareem Manik.
Not a
porn bot. I'm surprised there's no porn bots today, but y'all don't be banning people unless they really deserve it. And most of the time, you can just mute them for 90 seconds and that they'll go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody banned one of Mallory's friends and Cerny.
Yeah. Cerny, okay.
But I unbanned her. She came in and said thank you. So, okay. So yeah, I banned Cheech is in here multiple times under multiple sock puppets, and three different Cheeches are banned. I didn't change them, but yeah, y'all don't be. I'll take your wrenches away if you keep acting like over powerful, like dictators in the chat room over here. Just saying.
Acting like tobacco control ads.
Yeah.
Stop glancing around.
Nobody can ban me. I own the channel. It's mine.
Oh, well, you don't have to make her, Mallory. I hope she enjoys it. See, now I can.
Mallory was trying to make her watch the show, and she said, "I can't because somebody banned me." Maybe it was a sympathetic ban. Maybe somebody banned her because she didn't want to be in here because she really doesn't like Kevin.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's me. It's always me. That's fine.
I want to try. There's a new feature on YouTube, on Amazon Prime, that if you own a movie, you can do a watch party and watch the movie with other people. And though there are people that are doing these watch parties using StreamYard somehow to watch movies on YouTube. They're watching a movie on Amazon Prime, but then they're reviewing the movie on YouTube through StreamYards. We should do that with like horror movies or something, that like really bad horror movies. That should be our shtick, Kevin.
Really bad horror. Well, there's a broad variety of that.
Yeah, we should like the Phantasm. The first Phantasm movie is awesome with the killer puppets and stuff, but then it gets pretty cheesy after that. So we should watch like the Phantasm 6. That that's like the height of like really bad, and watch that. or anything from Friday the 13th after like the second one.
Yes. Halloween 17 too. Yeah. I didn't ask Cameron who ran their Twitter account.
I would never tell. That is between me and the soggy, not
Soggy bottom boys. What?
Yeah, I'm a man of constant sorrow.
Is that like swamp ass? Is that what that is?
That's pretty bad. Swamp ass is pretty bad. Yeah.
So we got to learn 12 to 19-year-old can vape and then document it when they quit.
Yeah. So,
and we learned from Cameron, we're not the only people that are watching this.
Cameron was awesome. It always makes us look better when we have really cool, smart people.
Yes.
It throws into sharp relief the idiocy of Kevin and I.
Mm-hmm.
But some of that intelligence rubs off a little bit. Possibly.
I enjoy someone making me look dumb. I don't mind it at all when we're on here.
Yeah. I'm over here. One of the libertarian podcasters I listen to is a guy named Young Ripa. He is out of Dallas, and he's a black guy, and he was in a metal rap band, and he's fairly intelligent politically, but he's very angry a lot of times. But there's crossover space because he's also a comic book nerd, and he's been doing a lot of videos about mainstream comics being too political and no longer entertaining. And for like a year and a half, he's been talking about starting his own comic book company, and he launched his new comic book project like Wednesday on like he's already quite wealthy, so he didn't need to crowdfund it. But he's taking pre-orders for his comic book that is already being printed. It's already done, and in 2 or 3 days this week, sometime in 3 or 4 days of this week, he's already raised $2 million.
Oh my god!
On a fucking comic book.
Wow, we need to make a comic book.
I know, right? I need
a vaping comic book.
I can't draw that good, so I can paint pretty okay, but I can't draw. Damn.
You've mentioned this kind of thing before, and it always intrigues me.
$2 million.
But he already has a following.
Well, no, yeah, he already has like 300,000 followers on YouTube for his political stuff. He actually isn't. I think he's an employee of The Blaze as well, which is a libertarian / maybe conservative podcasting. It's owned by Glenn Beck, I think, but they've done some vaping pieces as well. But yeah, he was in a metal rap group and had some money from that. He gets, if you watch his live streams, he does a daily live stream for like 2 hours. He makes like a couple $1,000s a day from like super chats and stuff like that. And goes live with his comic book on his own website. He didn't put it on like Kickstarter or any of these crowdfunding sites. And he's already sold $2 million worth of comic books.
Jesus.
And I'm like, this is crazy as hell. I had to buy it just because, I got his autograph. I ordered an autographed copy of his first comic book. GoFundMe is not crowdfunding. GoFundMe is basically, I'm poor, send me money. Whereas like Indiegogo and Kickstarter is, I want to make something, give me money and I'll send you one. Like, you get something for your money, but GoFundMe is just, that's the same thing as panhandling on the street, except you're doing it on the internet.
Yeah.
But
so we would
anyway, Kevin.
we could do crowdfunding or GoFundMe, whatever, and 6 months later we'd be looking at like $8.
Possibly.
So I put in, and I don't really have final thoughts. I really sincerely appreciate Cameron coming on. That was kind of a guesswork on my part because I didn't know if he would, and I'm really grateful he did. So I put his page of the website Ash, his personal page, or his.
It can't be Ash. There's just C in there, Kevin. It's got to be Akshi.
Akshi. It's Aksh. And also the X Twitter account, which you should follow. And I'm not sure that he's running it, but it's there.
I can't find him on Twitter.
Right. There are a here and there, and they are well worth following for other things that you may or may not be interested in. And if you're not, don't read it. And if you are, then do stuff, because they actually just did yesterday or the day before, I think. Inco. I'll do my Victor share time. My final thought.
You're already roboting, and you're not even Victor share screening yet.
There, is that better?
Well, let's see if you start roboting.
So, I took the YouTube link out, which is part of the reason I think I'm roboting. So, we may have to update our master list of lousy vaping papers, which I linked earlier, because Inco asked a very important critical affliction, which hasn't been
you're roboting already.
Yeah. So there you go.
You got to kick your kid's ass and get your hardwire back, dude.
Follow them.
Is he paying for the cable?
Oh, no, of course not.
But he doesn't deserve to have the hardwire. That's what I'm saying. See, Omicidal says, Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. See? Just saying.
That song sucked so bad.
That was a great song. Don't you lie.
Oh, my God, no.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. I want to thank you. Please, thank you.
Oh.
See, I always thought that Mr. Roboto and Iron Man were like buddies.
No.
Iron Man from Black Sabbath and Mr. Roboto.
No.
They should do like an Iron Man versus Mr. Roboto comic book.
There you go.
See?
Go fund that.
No, we won't do GoFundMe. What did I just explain to you? The differences between crowdfunding and GoFundMe.
Well, crowdfund it then. I don't care which way you go.
So Steve says get a 60-foot Ethernet cable.
I'm thinking I only need 30, but yeah, 50. Yeah. I may do that. I'm gonna get an extender. Go ahead and insert jokes all you like.
A Wi-Fi extender?
Yes, sir.
Those are a joke.
Well, that's what I'm assuming, because that's what they were in the security industry. But we'll see.
Those are a joke. I have one to keep my backyard cameras. I have two cameras in my backyard so that I can watch possums if they come into the backyard.
Yep.
And they're a joke. They're a joke.
See, that's the funny thing. I think it's the computer, because my cameras are wireless and I'm having no problem with them at all. And they're further
they don't
than
require the same amount of bandwidth, Kevin.
That's true, but there's zero problems. None.
Yeah, your fidelity on your video and your camera is probably,
junk.
Very low res compared to trying to broadcast in 1080p.
Right. Yeah. So a new computer is probably in the works. Who knows?
Well, anyhow,
I could use the old laptop.
Old laptop.
Oh, it's worse than this. Way worse.
Is that the one where with the green LCD screen?
I don't know. I have no idea. It's a Hewlett Packard's all I know.
At least it's not a TRS-80 or something like that.
No. Dad had one of those though. So what are your final thoughts?
I'm just glad that our friends come and listen to us every week, and obviously when we are able to have awesome guests, which we also have a guest lined up for next week, I believe. A very intelligent young lady from New Zealand will be on to have she has a presentation that she said she needs a whole week to prepare for. But I'm sure we will be awesome to have that conversation. Just like I said, I'm thankful that we have friends that allow us to come on to their computer or TV or whatever, however they're absorbing our content every week, and listen to us for 3 hours and 21 minutes and stay with us the whole time.
Yes.
There's some unfaithful ones in there. Pippa only shows up when she feels like it. And Paul recently has been blowing us off as well. He hasn't been in here very frequently. But, our loyal people are here. Yolanda and Bruni and Tom and Janine. That's loyalty right there. Jeffrey shows up whenever he feels like it, but he's here more frequently than the others. And, Bastard. Our friend Bastard, he's here all the time.
But we love them all.
Well, some of them more than others. But anyway.
Well, I know I'm your favorite. That's all I need to know.
Like I said, I just want to thank everybody. And, I want you to enjoy yourself as much as possible over the next couple days. You have the weekend to enjoy your time with your family, and I'm going to go and buy some giant steaks tomorrow, some T-Rex steaks with the bone in, the tomahawk ribeyes, and probably do them on the grill, and maybe have a beer or 5 or 10 and enjoy my time and stuff, because I'm assuming that I'm going to be on air next week. I just said we're going to have a guest, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I get COVID, I will be here.
No, don't say that.
It's actually the county that I live in is apparently has the highest infection rate in all of the United States, apparently.
Oh, boy.
New Aces
Y'all are
County,
doing some
Texas.
dumb shit down there sometimes.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. I've been using my brain and not like sharing space with dirty ass people, and I've been washing my hands and being clean. I don't know what the hell's, but yeah, we're back to having almost 100 people in our little county in the hospital right now. So yeah, excuse me, I don't care so much about the actual infection rate. It's the hospitalizations that I look at. Yep. We're back up to 100. So yeah, people, and a lot of these are reinfections, people that already had it and got it, getting it again. So I guess that means that they're habitually dirty ass people. But anyway, Kevin, that's all I have to say for tonight. Richard Pruin, we need to reach out to him, because he said he wants to do another nicotine and neurodiversity show as well. That might be worth doing. But anyway, we love you. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
That's right.
And we're gonna close out the show with the strip search video. Love you, Kevin. Bye. I really don't love you, Kevin. I just said that. Bye.
We are one nation under God, and knowing that inspires us. It inspires us to look within and find that fundamental respect and care that we should have for one another.
Bring your hands up for me. Okay, good.
Check the armpits. Take your time. Look carefully.
Okay, bring them down. Okay, let's spread your legs a little bit wider. Okay. Okay, lift your penis for me, please. Okay. Testicles.
If he's uncircumcised, ask him to pull back the foreskin.
Let's turn around.
Look at the neck, back, spinal area, and buttocks.
Okay, bend forward for me, please. And spread your buttocks.
Look for anything inserted. Observe any constricting of the rectal muscles, which may indicate the inmate is straining to retain something. You may see a thin string, indicating something is there. If you have any suspicion, ask the inmate to squat and cough deeply, which could dislodge it. If you're still suspicious, call for a medical search. You're not authorized to make any intrusion into the inmate's body orifices.
Who's going to protect our children?
DA Edward Burke cited Wisconsin law in a report stating what happened in Suring does not meet the definition of a strip search.
Having children stripped down to their bra and underwear is not okay in Wisconsin or any other state. My youngest, he said the other day walking into school, he was shaking.
Green Bay-based school law practitioner Tony Stefik says school officials are not required to notify parents of a search.
Some people would say, well, you're in the office. You need to call me before you question my child. That right doesn't exist.
We are not subjects or slaves of those who govern. And by God's grace, we are free. And we will fight to remain free.